Oh, great. AI took their jobs. In this tutorial, we'll show you how to stop Bad Santa and take down his elf minions and save Christmas. Well, I hope you're excited. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to start out with today's project, we're going to actually open up two projects. So the first one is we're going to select games. We're going to select the third person template, and I'm just going to name it AI Xmas game, okay? So I'll see you inside the project. Okay, once you're in the project, the only thing we're going to do here right now is we're going to hit the Edit tab. We're going to go to the Editor Preferences. And in Editor Preferences, under the General Settings, right here where it says Asset Editor Open Location, we're going to do Main because we're going to be opening up a lot of tabs here. So we can go ahead and select that, hit Save. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go and open up a first-person project as well. So I'll see you in the next part. Okay, so for this next part, we're going to open up a first-person project. And I'm just going to name it my project because we're just going to take some things out of it and put it into our primary project. And make sure you do this in 5.4 at the time of this video because unfortunately, the player controller and the game mode is having an issue. And we're going to be using that in 5.4 in this video. Hopefully, they'll resolve that issue in 5.5 later. All right, I'll see you inside the first person project. Okay, now that you have your first person project, we're going to go to the content drawer. And we're going to create a folder here. And for this folder, let's do a new folder. We're going to call this First Person Set. Because this is going to control, or this is going to have all of our first person content. Now, right here, we're going to hold the Control key button down, do a left click on the first person, a left click on first person arms, and a left click on FP weapon. Okay. And then what we want is drag it and we want to move here because if you do the advanced copy or even the copy, it doesn't copy everything we need for this project. So if we want to get all these items into our project, we're going to have to use the move here button. Now, this part here, yes, we're going to say okay to all this, okay? Now, I know there's folders here in the residuals, but everything did transfer. So all we're going to do here is we're going to unselect. And we're going to go to our first person set right here, right click it, and we're going to migrate it. And yes, we want to save selected. And okay, so let me see, we can minimize this all here so we can take a look and see what we got. Okay, so all we need is this first person set. We don't need this level prototyping, so we can uncheck that because we've put everything into this folder. Now we're going to select OK, and we're going to add it to our other project folder. And you want to go to wherever you have that particular project at. So for this one, it's called the AI Xmas game. So we're going to go into the AI Xmas game, select the content folder, and this is the folder we want to make sure it's populated here. And we're going to select that and just hit select. Now, those assets should be migrated over. So let's go ahead and I will see you inside of the third person project. Okay, once you open up your project, you can close this out. And what we want to do is we want to test and make sure that we have our first person stuff going on. But just to make it easy for us, we're going to go back to the edit. We're going to go back to, I want to say it's project settings. And we're going to go to maps and modes, okay? And what we want to do is, instead of using the third person game mode, we're going to use the first person game mode as the default because that's what we imported. So we can just add that real quick and we can close that and hit save. The other thing is while we're in our project right here on this level, we can pull up this world settings and you can easily find that by selecting window and checking the world settings tab. Okay, so you can see right here, it's got set to a third person game mode. So we're going to change this as well to first person game mode. Now we're going to be, because of this, it's going to cause us to select all of our first person game stuff right here. Now we're going to zoom into the project and we're going to test out and make sure that we got everything. So we're going to need to go into our first person set, which is right here. And actually, I can, let me see, we're going to clear this filter, reset that. Okay, so open up well, actually, before we even do that, let's change the color of this folder just to make it easy for us. So we're going to right click and we're going to set the color, and we're going to set the color to a festive, I guess a Christmas green. Well, maybe it's not Christmas green, but close enough. We'll hit OK. And now we have the green folder, so we can easily identify that. Double click in here, and what we want to find is the actual weapon. Let's see. So we want the, let's see, go back to the content folder. First person, it's going to be under blueprints, and we're going to take this weapon. We're just going to go ahead and drag that out here, and we're going to raise this up a little bit. And just to test it out, we're going to hit the play button, and let's see if we see what we got. Okay, if everything is migrated correctly, you should be able to use the actual, you should be able to use this particular thing here. So you can hit escape out of there. So we know that's working, which is good. And all right, for this next part, we're going to need to grab our assets, okay? And all of our assets luckily can be grabbed on the Fab Store. We're going to hit the content drawer right here. And what we can do is we're just going to go back to the content right here. And we're going to basically select the Fab tab right here. That should be already set once you've installed it to the engine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through each asset, and I'm going to show them briefly on the screen, and then you can just copy them into your own project. So, all right, here we go. Okay, so once that's finished downloading, we can close the folders, and we can close this tab as well. We won't need the Fab tab. We can go to our content folder, okay, and you can see we got a Fab folder here and first person here. Now we're going to need to create another folder, okay, so we're going to right click right here, and this new folder, we're just going to call it AI Xmas. And this is where we're going to store our AI at. So let's go ahead and give it a little festive color as well. We're going to right click, and we're going to set the color to a new color, and we're going to set this to red. So we got a green and a red in the spirit of Christmas, and hit OK. Now, inside this folder, we want to double click, and we want to create another folder, and we're just going to call this animations. Okay. Now, while we're inside this Xmas folder, we're going to need to add a couple assets to it. So first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add our elf character. And that's going to be inside of the third person folder here in the blueprints. And what we're going to do is we're going to left click right here. We're going to do a Control D, and that's going to duplicate it. We're going to rename this to BP underscore elf 1, because we're going to have more than one elf. So we're just going to do it like that. Control Shift S. And then what we want to do is on the left here, scroll this up, take this right here, drag and drop this right into the AI Xmas. And we're going to say move here because we don't want to make a copy. We want to move it there. Now, let's go back up here, and we're going to select our content folder once again. And we're going to need to go into the actual Paragon Richter here. Double click him. Double click character. Double click hero. Double click Richter. Now, we're going to need to duplicate Richter's blueprint, which is right here. Okay. So take his blueprint. We're going to do a Control D. Let's see. And we're going to call this BP underscore bad Santa. And select that for enter. We're going to do a Control Shift S. And that's going to save that. And yeah, make sure you do, like you see how you see all these unsaved right here? just make sure you do a Control Shift S. Let's see. Let me click in here. Control Shift S. Okay, or you can just go up to the file and hit Save All. And if you look down in the lower right, all is saved. Now, let's scroll back up here, and in our AI Xmas folder here, we're going to grab our Bad Santa Blueprint class, and we're going to transfer him into the AI Xmas folder. Select Move here. Now, we're going to go back, and we're going to go to our Content folder again, and we're going to go into our AI Xmas folder. And obviously, these two characters don't look like the elves or the villains of Christmas. So we're gonna go ahead and change that real quick. So first, let's start with the Bad Santa. We're only gonna do a couple simple things here. So as you can see, we've got a lot of stuff going on. First thing we're gonna do is we don't need inside this Bad Santa here. We don't need all this extra stuff because this is gonna be an AI. So we're gonna drag and grab everything right here, including this touchpad, and just hit the delete key, and that'll get rid of that. Now, I'm going to leave this functionality in case you decide you want to make this a playable character. So I'm going to leave that. But in the meantime, I'm going to also select the camera boom, the camera follow, and I'm going to select D for deleting of that. Next, we're going to add something here, and it's called pawn. See, I want to say pawn sensing. Yes, pawn sensing. Yeah, so we're going to add the pawn sensing here as well, and we're going to do a compile and a save. Next, we're going to go to the viewport. We'll adjust the pawn sensing and everything later, but for now, we're just adding the components. Okay. We're going to go to the viewport, and right here, we're going to select the character's mesh, and we're going to go to this, and under mesh, we're going to select this folder here with the magnifying glass. And what we want to select here for the mesh is we're going to go into Heroes, Characters, well, I'll say back to Heroes, Richter, and we want to go to Skins, and we want to go to Tier 2 Skin, and we want the Bad Santa Mesh. So we're going to grab the Bad Santa Mesh right here. All we're going to do is we're going to just highlight it, and then right here, we're going to basically hit this arrow here, and that's going to populate it. And it'll change this to the Bad Santa. It may take a second, depending on how fast your computer is, but go ahead and hit a compile and save. And now, as you can see, we have our Bad Santa. So this is gonna be our main boss, okay? So we got the basics of him. We're going to put his code and everything in later. But while we're here, we do wanna hit this lock key. Let's see, we'll go to maybe his capsule component, and we're going to select 2 for this, and we're just going to select 2 for all the way around, and that's going to make him double the size. So that's the reason we're doing that. So we want our big bad Santa to be big and bad, so we're going to double his size, hit compile, and hit save. Now this is all we're going to need to do for now for this character, so let's just go ahead, we can close that. Now for our next character, we're going to set up the elf class, okay? So we're going to go back to our content folder, go into our AI Xmas, and the thing we're going to do here is we're going to double click the elf, right? Scroll out, do the same thing, but we're going to get rid of all of his logic. So hit delete, the delete key to delete the logic. We're going to also get rid of his camera and his follow, and hit delete as well for that. And okay, so we're gonna need to also go to his we're gonna need to go to his blueprint, so his animation blueprint. So first let's do a compile save. We're gonna select his mesh. And from his mesh, you see here we've got this anim class. We want to give him his own custom anim class because we're gonna change his look through his anim class. So let's go ahead and hit the browse button. And right here, we want to use the parent class, so we're going to use the Manny. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a Control D to duplicate that, and we're just going to call this ABP underscore elf. That's it. So this is going to be what's going to be used for our elves. Control Shift S, like so. And then we're going to double click that. And while we're in here, we're only going to change one thing. We're going to change the anim. So let me, because I've been playing around in the editor a bit. So we're going to change this one here, this anim graph. So if we double click this here, you can see here we've got the anim graph. Now, what we want to alter is the output because we want to change the way this character looks to make him more look like a robotic elf, right? So we'll drag this out here. And right here, let's see. We're going to use something called a transform modify bone. So transform modify. All right, transform modify bone. Okay, so for this transform modify bone node, all we're gonna do is we're gonna drag right off of here and we're gonna connect it. And it's gonna create this component here just to help the blueprint actually transform and read it. Now, right here, we're gonna do some slight modifications here. Well, before we do that, let's drag off the scale here. And we're just gonna promote this to a variable. And we're just gonna call this elf scale, okay? Because this is going to be the scale of the elf's heads and hands and feet and things, right? So right here, we're going to select the transform modify bone node. The bone we want to modify is going to be the head. So we're going to select the head. The other thing is we're going to need to go to the scale. You can see here we got translation, tags, rotation. Here's the scale. Instead of it saying ignore, because we're going to be doing that, we're going to replace the existing scale with the scale that we come up with, okay? Now, right here, that should be all we need for that. If we do a compile and save, well, here, let me show you what that looks like real quick. Compile and save. And right here, what we can do is we can select this right here, and we're just going to change this to 2 for everything for the scale of this particular variable. 2 for everything, because I want to make the head twice its size. As you can see, it's populating and changing. Compile, save. Now, we're going to do the same thing to the head, to the hands and the feet. But first, we can delete this because we're going to remake that anyway. We're going to drag this over here, okay? And we're going to do a Control D for duplication, okay? And what we want is we're going to do, we'll do one more duplicate. Now, these 2 right here are going to be for the hands. And then we're going to duplicate again. We're going to copy those 2 and Control D. And these 2 are going to be for the feet. Okay? And we want to connect all these up. Don't compile yet because all of them are currently set to the head bone, as you can tell right here. So now we can hook this one up here, and it's going to create that node that's going to translate it to where the blueprint can read it for the output. Now, the other thing we want to do is we want to hook up all the scales to this elf scale because we're giving them the exact same proportions, okay? Wait, okay, let me see. Okay, there we go. Okay, grab and drag to all the scales. There. Now that that's set, we're going to select, let's see, well, we can do a compile. Well, no, don't do a compile save yet. We're going to go to each one. So, okay, so this one here is the bone here. We're going to change this one. All we have to do is type in hand. And I'm just going to do the L hand, not the IK. We're just going to do L hand underscore L for the left hand. We're going to do that same thing again, but this time we're going to go on to the next one, and we're going to do for the actual hand again, and that's going to be for the right hand. Next, we're going to change this one to a foot. Just type in foot, left foot, and then again, foot. right foot. Now we can do a compile and a save, and as you can tell, we've changed the scale. All right, let me just double check, make sure. So the head is hooked up. The left hand is hooked up, right hand's hooked up. Foot L, okay, you see right here, I made a mistake. See, it says IK foot right, so we gotta learn from our mistakes and just type in foot. And we want the right foot, like so, okay? So we got foot L and foot R. We do the compile and the save, and you can see it changed instantly right here. We're done with this animation blueprint for now. We can close that. But we're gonna need to change the animation blueprint for our blueprint elf. So we're gonna go to animation blueprint here, and we're gonna use our elf blueprint. Go to the viewport, and you can see it changed everything. And we can do a compile and a save. Okay, so we're not quite done with our elf yet. We need to go to his capsule component, and right here we're gonna do a lock again. And we're gonna just go ahead and put this at 0.6, and that's gonna make our elf sized. Okay. Now, while we're here, we're going to need to add some components. First, let's go ahead and add our sensing component. So we just type in sensing. So we want the pawn sensing component, and again, I'm not gonna put the settings in here just yet. I just want to make sure that we have that. So we got the pawn sensing. Next, we're going to give our elf a little hat, which is what we downloaded earlier. We're gonna, let's see, let's go to our, select our mesh here. We're gonna select add, and we're gonna add a static mesh component. And we're just gonna call this hat mesh. Okay. With the hat mesh selected, we're going to select this little folder here. Well, actually, let's go ahead and add this mesh. So we're gonna select this here, and you can type in, I think it's cap. Yeah, so simple Santa cap, and that'll give you that. Now, for this cap, it's a little bit big, but before we even adjust it, let's just go ahead and add it to the head socket. So go to the parent socket, and we're gonna add this to the head bone right here. Okay, now we're going to need to reduce this hat quite a bit. While it's still selected, you can see it's still selected here. We're gonna reduce the scale, okay? And we're gonna make the scale let's try 0.1 maybe. Okay, it might be a little bit too small. Let me see, scroll in. Remember, use the mouse. Yeah, 0.1 might be good. Okay, so we're just gonna raise it up a bit. And what we can do is we're gonna hit these two toggles here for the rotation and the increments of the change here. And we're gonna give it more of a fine tune. That's why we're doing that. So we can hit the E key right now, and we can rotate the head a bit, like so, and hit the W key to move it forward and backward and stuff, like so. And let's see, we're gonna hit the E key again and just kind of adjust it to where it doesn't have to be perfect, you know. Well, maybe it does because it's AI, right? So we can just put the elf hat just like this. If I want it perfect, I can line it up like so. See how the back looks, everything looks. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Hit W one more time, move it over just a little bit. I know it's tough because his head's moving, but that's okay. There. Now, we can do a compile and a save. But now here's something that's gonna be important that we're gonna need to do for this. We're gonna need to go to this hat and remove its collision, because if we don't, when you try to shoot the elf, this hat acts like a shield. I've done it and it sucks. So let me show you that real quick. So hit the browse button here, because we're gonna go to the static mesh. We're going to double click the static mesh. And just so you can see it, we're gonna select in the upper left-hand corner here, the show. And we're gonna just go ahead and show the simple collision. Now that you see the collision, we're gonna select the collision tab here, and we're gonna remove the collision. And then we hit save, and that's it. And that makes it nice and easy. Hit close for that, and we're all set. Another important thing that I forgot to do inside of the Bad Santa, we're going to do on our elf here, is we're going to type in, we're going to select the character right here. And right here in the details, we're going to type in POS. And that's again, so that's going to be for possessing of the AI. Now we need to change this from place in the world to placed or spawned, so that way the character can work when it populates into the world. We're going to do a compile and a save, and we want to do that same thing for our Bad Santa. So we're going to go to our content drawer, select content, go to our AI Xmas folder, select Bad Santa, and we're going to do the exact same thing with him. So we're going to select him up here, right here, just type in POSS, and same thing, him being placed in the world or spawn, we want him to populate. Do a compile and a save. And we'll come back to Bad Santa later, close him out, compile and save. Okay, just so we're not opening up too many tabs here. So we've got the basics of this, and we'll add the logic to this elf later, and we're gonna close that. But we're gonna have to go back to Bad Santa one more time because I did forget something. So for the Bad Santa, we're gonna have to go to the content, go back to AI Christmas, go to the Bad Santa, and for Bad Santa here, this is gonna be important. We're gonna need to go to the actual mesh here. And from the mesh, we're gonna need to go to Richter's blueprint right here, okay? And just hit the browse button, and we're going to double click this right here. Now remember, this is his animation blueprint. So let's see, we're gonna need to go to his anim graph, okay? Now for Richter's anim graph, we're gonna need to add something here. We're gonna drag this out. We're gonna drag off of here, and we're gonna add something called a default slot. Now, this default slot's important because if we don't have that, then Richter will not be able to use his blueprint as far as when he does his attacks and things. So that's what that's for, okay? And we can neaten that up, make it look like it was born here. Compile and save again. And that should cover that. That's all we should need for Richter's blueprint here, okay? And remember, we're using the Bad Santa. So now, just to keep things, like I said, confused, I'm going to be closing and opening tabs quite a bit. So this is just to help. And right now, so I've closed out Bad Santa. And what we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to create some assets, okay? We're going to need some animations for our elf character and for Richter. And we're going to need to make them into montages. So let me show you how to do that. We're going to hit the content folder. And we need to go into our Richter Paragon folder, go to characters, and then we're going to go to heroes. Then we're going to go to Richter, and then finally we're going to hit animations. Now, we're just going to grab one of these animations. It really doesn't matter. Like, we can right-click on this one here, and we're going to select retarget animations. And right here, we're just going to type in, for the target character or mesh, we're going to type in simple. And we're going to use the simple Quinn. And let's see, we can zoom in here just so you can see what's going on. Now we're gonna have to grab several different animations here, okay? All right, so we're gonna need, let's see, we're gonna call this one, we're gonna need the ability, it's called Ultimate. And it's this one right here. So this one we're gonna use, so we're gonna export this, right? Into our Xmas animation folder right here. We're going to select animations. That's the folder we're going to put it in. And for the prefix, we're just going to select ELF and then underscore. So it'll put that name underneath it or in front of it. And then all we have to do is select export. Export. Okay. And we can close that out. And we're just going to repeat that process again. We're going to do a retarget of animations, and we're just going to grab another animation. All right, for this next one, we're going to use knockback. Select that. Knock. So knock backwards. And we want to make sure we do the same thing, simple. Grab that Quinn. We're going to So you're going to zoom in here a little bit, take a look, export, elf underscore, and then back into the animations folder, we're going to export that and export. Now, we're going to do it again, but we're going to need another one. Oh, didn't mean to open that. Let's just right click, retarget animations. And this one, we're going to need the primary attack. So just type in air. Yeah, primary air attack. This is the one we want. And this is going to be a kind of a generic one that we're going to use for Richter and for the elves as far as their attack. So we're going to do the simple thing here. Quinn. And right here, we're going to export. And we're going to type in elf again, underscore, and here, and export. Export. Okay. Now, just for the heck of it, I'm going to add one more. We're probably not going to use it in this project, which is okay, but you can use it. And I thought it was a really cool emote called jump rope. We're going to close this real quick, and I'm going to show you that real quick. So what we can do is we can go back and do the retargeting again. Same process, simple. Quinn. And we're going to type in jump rope. We're going to select that. And just to show you this real cool, I mean, you could have your elves doing this if you want. Double click that. And that's something that the little elves can do if you want to at the end of the game. So I'm going to export that. Now, like I said, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to leave that for you guys' imagination. We can type in underscore elf here, animations right here, and hit export. And export. And then we can do a Control Shift S, and that'll get rid of those stars. That means we've saved everything. Now, let's close that. Let's go back to our content folder, and then go back to our AI elves. Well, actually, before we do that, we can start here. While we're here, we're going to go into our animations folder. We're going to left click on the first one, hold down shift, and then left click on the final one. We're going to right click, and we're going to create anim montages. Okay, Control Shift S, just save them at their default, and that's it, because we're going to need the montages. Now, we're also going to need montages for Richter. So we're going to go back to Richter here. And we're going to go to his characters, his heroes, Richter, animations. And right here, we can just, we're going to filter this a bit just to make it easier for us. So we're going to select animations, and we want to select the animation sequence filter. Now, that's just going to show us everything down here. And then we're going to do the same thing we need for Richter, which is we need that air attack. So we're going to right click that, and we're just going to create the anim montage for that as well. Hit enter, Control Shift S, and then we're going to need another montage. Yeah, we're going to need a hit. We're going to need a hit react. So hit react. I think it's the hit react back is what we want. So let's double click and make sure. Yeah, so every time he gets hit, that's what's going to happen, okay? Close that, and then we're going to right click, and we're going to create an anim montage and hit enter. Control Shift S. Okay, so now we're going to go back down here, and we're going to select the filter here, and we're just going to reset the filters to where we don't have them anymore. And we're going to go back to our content folder, close that. And right here, we're going to go back into our animations folder here, and we're going to need to add some sound things here. So there's two sounds we're going to add. One's going to be some music, and then the other one's going to be just a noise. And I'm going to show you how I did that, okay? All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so as you can see here on my desktop, I've got this sound recorder. This is default in Windows. You just type in sound recorder and it pulls it up. Now, right here, all I did was I hit the record button and then I made a wave file, okay? Now, this wave file is going to be used for every time the character is hit, as far as the elf or the Santa Claus is hit. And we're going to augment it a little bit just to make it sound different for each character. But this is what it sounds like. Oh no. Oh no. And that's all I did. And I've saved it to my desktop here. And then as far as the music here, this was just something I downloaded from YouTube's library for this video, just to, because just to stay in compliance. But this was a song that I downloaded called I Don't Think So. So, but you can actually download and create your own songs by this same method, by either recording a song from your phone, make your own music, whatever. But make sure you have a file, and you can make sure that you can do it. And as far as the settings, you can use like different qualities. So right here, I used the best quality here. You can even set this to an MP3 or whatever, or a wave, and either one will work. But the key is to make sure you add the sound files. So one music, one oh no sound, or you can say ho ho ho, whatever you want. All right, back to the project. Okay, now that we're inside the project, I'm going to the content folder. And right here, we're just going to select import. And I'm going to go to my desktop. And on my desktop, I have these two folders here. So I'm going to left click here, hold down Control, select the other one. So I have both of them. And I'm just going to hit open. And it's going to add them right here with the little stars. We do a Control Shift S, and that'll save that. Now, moving on, let's go back to our content folder. And we're going to need to go to our third person folder here. And we're going to need to create some assets here. So the first asset we're going to create is a player controller. So we're going to right click here. We're going to go to Blueprint Class. And we're going to select the player controller. And we're just going to call this PC underscore Xmas player controller. Like so, Control Shift S. And with this controller, we can open this up and go to the event graph. Now, we're going to need to add something to this because the other player controller actually has something that we need. So we're going to go to the third person here. And right here in your world settings, where your first person player controller is, we're going to select this right here. And we're going to open this one up. Double click that. And right here, we're going to need this piece of logic here. This is just going to let us have all of our playability with our first person. So we do a Control Shift here. I'm sorry, Control C, right, to copy. We're going to go right over here, and we can delete all this. And we're just going to do a left click just to get inside the viewport, and Control V, and that's going to do a compile save. And that way we'll have this logic in here, which is going to be very, very important, okay? Now, we don't need this anymore because we just needed this information here. So we can close out the first person character, and we got our Christmas player controller here. Now, while we're at it, let's just go ahead and go to the third person map, and we're going to change our first our character controller to our new Xmas controller we just created. Do a save, and we can go back, and we can just go to the content folder. Okay, back into our first person, and then right here, we're gonna need to make some interfaces. So we're gonna right click here, and we're going to select Blueprint down here, and we're looking for the Blueprint interface, okay? And we're just gonna type in BPI, which is abbreviation for Blueprint Interface. We're gonna do an underscore, and we're gonna call this Xmas controller or player controller, player controller. So this is the actual player controller, Control Shift S, and we need to open this up. And this is going to be the player controller interface. So right here, we're just going to type in get Xmas player controller. Okay, we're going to do an output, And for this output here, we're going to select this variable here, and we're just going to type in Xmas, well, actually, PC, no, yeah, PC Xmas, let me see, Xmas. Yeah, so we want the PC Xmas controller, we want the object reference. And right here, all we're going to type here is we're just going to call this PC Xmas controller ref, like so. We'll do a compile and a save. Now, while we're here, we don't need this because this is it's created. We can close this, and we're going to select our player controller here. And for the player controller, we're going to I was going to select the class settings, and we need to go to interfaces, and we're going to select implemented interfaces, and we're going to select BPI player controller interface. We're going to do a compile and a save. Now, if you look right here, the interface has been created. So we got to double click it. And we want to make sure when it references it, we want to reference our self. So type in self, get a reference to self. Okay, compile and save. That's all we should need for now for the player controller, but we're still going to be working with it. So we're going to go back to the event graph here for a second. And we're going to need to open up our bad Santa again because he's going to need one too. So, but we're going to go into our content folder, go to AI Xmas, and then right here, we're going to right click and we're going to create another interface. So blueprint interface right here. All right, let's see. BPI underscore bad Santa. Control Shift S, and we need to open up this interface and do the exact same thing. We're just gonna get bad Santa. Okay, and then we're gonna do an output again, same exact thing, but this time we're going to do BP Santa, right? And we're gonna get the bad Santa object reference here, and we're just gonna call this bad Santa ref. We'll do a compile and a save. Now we're done with this right here. So we can go ahead, we can close this out. And we need to open up the bad Santa. So here he is right here. That's why I put it right here so we can easily get to it. Double click it. And then for the bad Santa, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to select the class settings. We're going to go to interfaces. We can minimize that. And let's see, for the interface, we're going to type in BPI, bad Santa. Okay, do a compile and a save. Open up right here and double click it. Same thing, we want to add self because we want to reference to ourself here. So that when anyone who uses it, they can get anything off of this character. Compile and save. Okay, let's close the bad Santa for now. Now let's go and we're gonna need to create our actual music box. So for inside the level, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna right click and we're gonna do a blueprint class. We're just gonna make an actor and we're gonna call this BP underscore music box. Okay, Control Shift S, and we're gonna double click and open the music box up. And right here, we're just gonna add a static mesh. Okay, and we can do a compile and save. And for the static mesh here, we're going to add that GIF. So we're gonna use the GIF box. And while this is still locked, we're gonna set this to pretty big. We're gonna make this a size 10 maybe. Now, we can adjust this later. This might be too big. Well, actually, let's try 8. Let's try 8, okay? We're gonna do a compile and save. And then what we're gonna need to do here is we're going to need to make some sound going on here. So we're gonna delete these two here. We're going to need the event begin play because we're going to do a play sound. right here. And right here, I'm just going to select a sound. Now, I know mine's is called I Don't. So I don't think so. It's my soundtrack here. That's the one I'm using. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to hold down the D button, do a left click, and make a delay. Now, I know how long this song is. It's about 55 seconds. So I'm going to do 60 seconds for the duration, which is going to give it about 5 seconds to, stop and then, replay. So I'm going to grab this. Let's see. Okay, actually, let's do it this way. We're going to create a custom event. And we're going to call this play music. Okay. We're going to add the play music here. And what we're going to do is once this completes, we're going to play music again. It's going to play itself again. So play music. So that will cause it to repeat repeatedly. And then right here at the begin play, we're going to do play music. So that way it can start out. So right at the beginning, it's going to start, it's going to play this, and then after it finishes playing, it's going to play itself again and keep going. This event begin play is only done once. This causes it to repeat, and that's it. Compile and save. Now, for our static mesh, we're going to change the color because we're going to use the default color for the actual character's ammunition. So let's go ahead and we're going to change that a bit. So from this gift box here, we're going to change this element. And we're going to scroll. I want to use the Richter's skeleton thing here. Actually, let me show you. Go to viewport. So here's our box, right? Go to the gift box. And since we downloaded Richter, he's got a whole bunch of stuff going on. So we can actually, let me see. We'll type in RIK. Yes. And right here, we can use Richter's head here or something like so. And that's, we can change the color of the gift. So this is the one that basically allows, this is what's basically, this is his head right here. You can use any of these, and basically it's going to allow us to use Richter's color here. And this is where the elves are going to seemingly pop out. So it's copper arms, maybe. Here we go. That's a Christmassy thing there. Richter's head torso skin. That looks pretty Christmassy. We can do a compile and a save. Okay, so now that we've got the music box made, let's move on. Close that out. And I guess we can close this out for now because we're not going to mess with the player controller this second. We can go to the content drawer and we're going to need to make another asset. So we're going to go into our first person. And then right here, we're going to need to make a menu. So we're going to start by user interface, right click user interface, and we're going to make a widget blueprint, just a regular one. And then for this widget blueprint, we're going to name it widget blueprint WB underscore Xmas main. We'll call it Xmas main, like so. Control Shift S, and then we're going to open it up. Now, we're going to make a very simple menu here, and I'm going to show you. So here we go. We're going to start with a canvas. And canvas is right here. Drag it and drop it onto here. And then next, we're going to do an image first, because I'm going to make a crosshair. Drag the image, grab it, and put it on there. And what we want to do with this image is we want to just drag it and put it somewhere close to the middle. And while this is highlighted, while we got the image, let's go ahead and rename it. We're just going to call it crosshair or crosshairs, which is fine. And then for the crosshair, we need to do the size. So on the X, we're going to do 60 by 60. Okay. For the color and opacity, we're going to open this up. And for the A, for the alpha, highlight that. We're going to do a .5. And that's going to make it somewhat transparent. And for the brush, we're going to change that as well to an image. And this image I thought would be cool for the highlighted spirit to scroll down. This analog hat image I thought would make a good crosshair. So we're going to go ahead and use that. And again, just, try to get it like in the middle of the screen. Now, for the anchor for this, we're going to need to do the anchor for the middle of the screen. So that way it's not all over the place. So whenever you change resolutions or change from phone to whatever project you're in, it'll always stay in the middle. Now, we got a couple more things here to make. We're going to make something called a progress bar. Okay, we're going to drag and drop that on here. And you see this line right here? I'm going to put on this first line here. And I'm just going to grab and drag it over here. Like so. So you see it's in between these two blocks. And what I want to do is, there's a fill color, which is when this fills up, I'm going to change that to green to keep our stuff festive. And plus, green kind of symbolizes health. Hit OK. And then what we also want to do is go to the style of this particular progress bar and select the background image, which is what happens when you lose health. Open that up, double click it, and we're going to select red for that. So see like that? Red. Nice, bright red. Okay. Now, we're going to do a compile and a save. So let me show you this real quick. So we need to find the percentage, which is under progress. And if we left click and drag, you can see that's how the progress bar changes, okay? That's what that is. So in this case, I'm just going to put 1 here just to fix the progress bar. We're going to select the progress bar, and let's call it health bar, just to keep it simple. And then for this health bar, for the anchor, we're going to put this towards the middle bottom. So it's always going to kind of float down here somewhere. We can drop it down a little bit. I mean, we've already anchored it, but it's right here, so it's good. Next, we're going to need to do some text. So we're going to grab a text block here, drag it right here, put it in the middle. And then for this, while this is highlighted, we're just going to name this to Elves Destroyed. You can say killed or whatever you want, but I've chosen Elves Destroyed. And what I'm doing here is we're going to change the actual size of the text. So we need to find the font under appearance. And I'm going to change this to maybe 48 just to start out with. And I think 48 is pretty good. So we're going to leave that at 48. And then we want to do the outline settings. So right here, still under the font, under outline settings, we're going to change this to 5. And that's just going to give it a little black ring around it, which is cool. And we want to make this kind of go towards the middle, as best you can. Like so. And we can go ahead and anchor this to the top right here, so it's anchored. And then we're going to need to do another text right underneath it. And this will be more or less the kill count. So we're just going to type in 100 right here. Enter. And for the size, I'm going to put it at about 38, just because I want it to be a little bit bigger. Like so. We're going to select this as a variable. We're going to change to elf. We'll say K count, just to keep it simple. Make sure that you line it up in the center the best you can. Okay. So now that we've got that, what we're going to do is we're going to take this one right here, this elf destroyed thing, and we're just going to go Control D, grab that and put it down here. And we're going to change this to, we're going to put it right here in the middle. And we're going to name this, let's see, we're going to change this text to You Win. Like so. And then we're going to change the text name to You Win One. Wait, You Win text and then 1. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to do that one more time. We're going to duplicate this and drag it right here. And for this, we're going to put you saved. So yeah, you saved. And then we're going to say, we're going to change this color. We can make it green and hit OK. And we can do a Control V again. I'm sorry, Control D. And then right here, we're going to put this right next to it. And we're going to change this to Christmas. So Christmas. And we're going to change this to a red, just to make it nice and festive. Like so. Now, let's make sure we have a steady naming convention. So we got this as text 1. We're going to call this 2. So all the way back and do this as 2. And then right here, we're going to do this again and call this 3. We're going to do a compile and a save. Control-Shift-S. Now, while we're in here, we're going to need to remake all these again, but we're going to change this particular word here. So we're going to copy all the UNs, all these right here. So left click and do a control for each one. And then we're going to do a Control D. Let me see. Does that work? Control D. Okay, let's do a copy. And then a right click and let's do let's see. Well, we could just do them one at a time. So Control D. So we can kind of put it in the same spot. And then right here, we're going to, well, actually, let's do it this way so it's not confusing. So we're going to put one here. We're going to select this one you saved. So we're going to do a Control C, Control V right here. And then we're going to control like this. Okay. Now, for these, we're going to highlight each one. So instead of it saying you win here, we're going to say you lose. And then right here, instead of it being you save, we're going to say AI, and we're going to say stole. And we're going to change this from green to maybe like an orange. And we can move this like so, like that. Okay? And we're going to leave, and make sure that, yeah, we're just going to put you lose at the end of all these, just so we know the difference. You lose text. And then, now I know I'm duplicating something I probably don't need to, but I'm just doing it just for consistency, like so. Now, okay, so now that we have this here, for the UNs, we're going to temporarily, well, first, we're going to highlight these, and we're going to type invisible, VIS. And we're going to set all this to hidden. So we're going to set that to hidden. Its default will be hidden. Now, so we don't get confused, we're going to select this, and see this little eyeball here? We're going to hide that. The next one, we're going to hide that. And then while we're here, let's just go ahead and match Christmas to Christmas over that. And we're going to put our AI stole right here. Okay, make it look as close as possible. And then the you lose right here. Okay, so these are all the you lose particular ones here. Now, same thing with this. As we select these, we want to make sure this is hidden, and this is hidden. Okay. Make sure we go through. Okay, so yeah, and we can select all these. So look, hit you win. You see that's hidden. You lose, that's hidden. Saved hidden. AI stole hidden. Christmas hidden. Christmas hidden again. So both of these are done. So the other thing is you want to make sure, okay, so we're going to make sure that okay, close that. We got to make sure all the anchors are here. So make sure we do the anchor. We could just say middle for these. Okay, and then we can close out the you lose ones. And well, make sure we open up the you win one. So you win. Well, actually, we can open all these. Okay, so the you win, make sure that the anchor is in the middle. Make sure all these anchors are in the middle. All right, lock all that, including the you win. And then as far as the crosshair, yeah, we want to start out with it hidden. So we can type in the VIS here and start it out as hidden. Okay, compile and save. And that should cover everything for the menu. Okay, but we need to do the graph of the menu first. So let's go ahead and start that. Go to the graph. And for now, we can just delete all this. Okay, but before we do, I want to create a binding real quick. So we're going to go back to the designer and we're going to select our numbers here for our kill count. And for this, we're going to select bindings. We're going to create a binding. And here, we're just going to drag off of here and we're going to promote this to a normal variable, not a local. And we're just going to call this elf k count. Okay, so yeah, we have to do elf kill count. How about that? Okay. And then we can do a compile and a save. And we've got that binding. Now, let's see, go back to the designer, go to event graph, and we're going to need to create a couple of, just some simple logic here for this. So for the crosshair, we're going to drag off of here, get the crosshair. And what we want to do is we want to set visibility. We want the widget function, which is this blue one. And we're going to just go ahead, we're going to duplicate that. And we're going to connect that up like so. Okay. Now we're going to need to make some custom events. So let's do a custom, just type in CUST, enter, and we're going to call this show cross, or we'll say, yeah, show cross hair visible. And then, or actually, you know what? Let's just say crosshair visible. So crosshair visible. And then we're gonna do another one. We're gonna do a cust again and custom event, and we're doing a crosshair and then hid. Add that right here. We'll do a compile and a save, and that's the crosshair visible, okay? Now, we're gonna take these two visible things here, we're going to duplicate them, and right here, we're gonna change this one to hidden. We're gonna change this bottom one here to hidden. We're gonna hold down the D button, do a left click, and right here, we're gonna put 3 seconds inside the delay, and we're going to hook these up right here. Okay. Now, we need to make another custom event. And this custom event, we're just going to call it show health bar. Okay. Show health bar. And we're going to connect it up. So that way, when we show the health bar, it's going to show temporarily, and then 3 seconds later, it's going to be hidden. That's the whole purpose of this. This one here, we're going to set this up inside of the player controller to where when you hold the right mouse button down, it'll show or not show the crosshair, okay? Now, you see here, we're targeting the crosshair here, but we're not targeting anything here. So we're gonna grab the health bar, and we're just gonna drag and make sure we add the health bar as the target, okay? Now, we're going to do another thing with the health bar, which is we're going to grab the health bar again, put it over here, and we're going to set the percent, okay? And the way we're going to do that is we're going to do custom event here, and we're going to call this, well, we're going to call this update. So update health bar. Like so. And we can connect that up. We're going to drag off of here, and we're going to need to do a divide. Okay? Divide operator. And for this, we're going to just drag off of here. It's going to create these pins here. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to need to name the pins. So let's go ahead and select this here. And for health, for A, we're going to do health. And then we're going to need to do max health. Like so. Compile and save. Okay, now we're going to need to go back to our designer because I forgot to add, make the variables so you could see them. So we're going to go just right here, start from the top from the UN. UN1 text, we're going to do that as a variable, okay? We're going to do the you lose, okay? So this you lose, okay, let me just take a look. So you lose, we need to change that from this to lose. You lose text 1, and we need to add that and make sure that it is centered, of course. Do a compile and save. And then, like I said, so you win, you lose, and then you saved, which is the 2 text. So, yep, that's good. And then the AI stole. We're going to, yeah, that's right too. We're going to use that as a variable as well. And make sure we set the anchors towards the middle. So for all these, make sure. I know I keep doing it over and over again, but yeah, we want to make sure that it's accurate. So now for the you saved, okay, you saved text, that's text 2, that's good. We're going to AI stole, that's good. For the 2 Christmases, yes, we've definitely got to add the Christmases here. Compile, save. Like I said, we're just checking variables because we need to be able to use them. Same thing here. Now this one, we don't need to do that. Okay, so this one is, let me see. This one, we're going to need to change this to lose. Because we don't want to duplicate it because we can't. So So we got a Christmas here, a you win Christmas 3, and you lose Christmas 3. So now we have all our variables. So let's go back to the graph. We've got all of our beautiful variables here. So let's start first by grabbing the you win. Grab the you win. You can actually hold down the control and just drag them on like that, left click and drag. So we got the you win text here. And we're gonna do a set visibility like this, like so. And we can put all of them as the target because we're gonna have them all show at the same time. Okay. Now, for this, we're going to need to do well, actually, let's do this one more time. Duplicate that. Okay. Now, this one, we're gonna set to hidden. Okay. Now, right here, we're gonna do a custom event, and we're gonna show you win text right here. And then we're going to custom event again, hide you win text. Okay. Now we can do that same thing, but we're going to need to do that for the you lose text. Okay. So let's go ahead and grab the you lose text. So hold down the control and just drag 1, 2, and 3 onto the graph like so. Drag off of here. We're going to do a set visibility. Connect all that up. Custom event. Show you lose text. Grab all this and duplicate. Change this to hide you lose text. Compile and save. And neaten up the code. All right, and make sure that we put hidden for the hide. So yes. Also, whenever you have this show you win text shows up, I want to also hide you lose text. So yeah, I want that to execute every time. So sometimes, like you'll see later in the game why I did this, and it'll make more sense. So compile and save. Okay, so we're going to be done with this for now. So we're just going to close that. And okay, remember earlier how I said I wanted to do the pawn sensing? Okay, we're going to go and adjust Santa's sensing and also the elves. So we're going to go back into our content folder, into the AI Xmas folder. We're going to left click Santa and left click the elf and hold down control. We're going to right click and hit edit because we're going to edit both these characters' pawn sensing for a second. Now, select the pawn sensing in the details panel. Now you can leave this at 0.5. Now we're in the elf, as you can see right here. But for the peripheral range, we're going to change that to 180. Okay, and that's it. Like I said, you may want to go anywhere from 0.2 to 0.5 in this range. I'm just going to leave it like this for now, and you can adjust it on how frequently you want the elves to like turn and attack the player. So we go compile and save. We're going to do the same thing for Bad Santa. Go to his event graph and select his pawn sensing. Same exact thing. We're going to change peripheral vision angle to 180. So that way he can have a broader view to look around. Same thing with this. We can leave everything like this, should be fine. Compile, save, and we can close that. We can leave the elf up for now because I think we're probably gonna attack that in a minute. So let's go on to the content drawer. And right here, we're gonna need to make a new thing here. So we're gonna go to the content folder, first person again, blueprint. We're gonna right click here and we're gonna do a new blueprint class. We're gonna select for this bottom class here and we're gonna type in camera shake. Camera shake. And what we want is this legacy camera shake. Remember, we're in 5.4.4, okay? So let's choose this one and hit select. And we're gonna call this, I guess, CS underscore for camera shake, action shake. Okay? Control Shift S, or actually action hit shake. Let's do that. So F2. So the reason I'm saying hit, because every time the player character gets hit, that's when the camera is going to shake. Okay? Control Shift S, and we're going to open this up. And then right here, we're going to need to make some adjustments. Okay? So to start out with, we're going to need to do the rotation, and we're going to start with the pitch here. Okay, so for the duration, we're gonna make it last at least 1 second for the oscillation durations for the camera shaking. For the now remember we're in the rotation oscillation here. For the aptitude here, we're going to use, let's see, we're gonna use 1, and then for the frequency we're gonna use 10. Okay, and we can leave this all the same. Okay, so we can do a compile and a save, and right here you're gonna right click on the pitch. And you can do a copy and then right click on the yaw and do a paste. What that's gonna do is it's gonna populate it with the same values, okay? Next, we're gonna do the location, starting with the X. For the X, instead of the, for random here, we're gonna use 0. So right here. And we're gonna do 5 for the aptitude, and then for the frequency, we're gonna do 50. Same thing we did here. We're going to right click on this X here. We're going to copy that and we're going to paste it here into that, and that'll control that. So we're just moving around the X and Y axes for the rotation and the location. That's all we're doing here. Make sure you do a compile and a save. And that should be all we need for that. So we're going to go ahead, we can close that out. And now we're inside of our blueprint elf. Okay, I think my mic was off for a second there. So right here, we're going to do a AI run custom event, get the AI move to, and then we're going to get a get random reachable point. And this is not what we want. What we want here is we want to get actor location. Okay, we're going to use this pure node here. Now for the radius, acceptance radius, we're gonna do 75 here. So that way when it gets in within 75, that's when it can get it. 5 is too close, so a lot of times it'll get stuck in the mesh. You could actually even go 100 with this, if you like. Next, we're going to, for the radius, we're gonna do, we can do 2000. Okay, do a compile and a save. Then right here, we're gonna hold down the D button and left click and create a delay. And we're going to hook up the success and the fail to the delay here, because whether it fails or succeeds, we want to continue on with our blueprint here. Now for the duration, we're going to drag off of here and we're going to get a float. Let's see, we'll type in float range. Yeah, we want to get the random float range. And so every 1 to 3 seconds, we're going to do a 1 here and a 3 here. Actually, let's make it 1 to 5 seconds. We're gonna have it execute the code, the following code, okay? First, we're going to have our character randomly jump around. So we're going to do a jump function. And that's all it's going to do is just the character's going to jump and that's it. Then next, let's see, after we do that, we're going to do another delay. So a left click and delay. And we're going to set this to 0.5. This is just going to give the character time to jump. That's what this delay is for right here. And what we want to do is we want to repeat this whole process. So we're going to do another AI run. So AI run. So it's just basically acting upon itself again, like so. Okay. All right, do a compile and a save. Okay, next we're gonna do another custom event. Okay, sorry, let me get in a good spot here. So custom event, and we're gonna call this AI attack. Okay, so for this attack, let's drag it down here a little bit. We're gonna need to play a montage. Okay. And we're gonna grab the actual skeletal mesh of the elf and put it here for the skeletal mesh component. That's what we're gonna make move. And then for this, we're gonna use that, we're gonna call it the air, the primary attack air. And that's gonna be the elf one that we created before, okay? See, we're gonna need to hold down the D button, do a delay, and then right here, let's see, we can put the delay right here, not on the complete, but up here. And we're gonna need to spawn an actor. So we're gonna right click and type in spawn, let's see, spawn actor from class, okay? And for the spawn actor from class, we're gonna, for the transform, we're gonna get the actor's transform. Okay, because we're gonna spawn this, basically it's gonna be the snowball that we're gonna spawn here. And before we add the spawn actor class, we're gonna do another delay. We're gonna change this to 0.5. And then finally, we're gonna do an AI run. Okay, so since we're here, we're gonna go ahead and make our ammunition. When we spawn this actor, we're gonna do a projectile, and the projectile is gonna just automatically shoot out. That's what the blueprint class is here for. So we're gonna go to content folder, and like I said, if you can see right here under content, first person set, first person under blueprints, we've got this projectile. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a control D and duplicate that. And we're gonna call this BP underscore xmess and projectile. See, projectile 1. We're gonna duplicate that again. Projectile 2 and duplicate again, projectile 3. Okay, we're gonna do a control shift S to save all that. Now, for the first projectile, we're going to, okay, well, we can go ahead and add it. So highlight it and then just populate it here. So now we got the Christmas one, but we're gonna need to open this up and we're gonna need to change something here. So we're gonna go to the sphere mesh, go to the viewport, and for this first one, the only thing we're gonna change is the actual material. So right here, you see this material? We're gonna select this and let's see, we can go, yes, so we can type in rock and then snow, okay? We're gonna use the first one here, and that's gonna give us that appearance. So now this If we scroll in, we can look. Now we've got a rocky snowball, and that's what's going to come out of that character. It's just going to follow its natural logic and project this out. Okay. We can do a compile and a save. Compile, save. Okay. We should be done with that for now. We can close that, and let's go ahead and set up our the rest of them. So now we got this projectile 2. Now we're going to change. This is going to be the one that's going to be used to come out of the actual character. So, so this projectile 2, we're going to change the sphere right here. Instead of it being a sphere, we're going to use that gift again, right? So gift. So use the gift box. We're going to use it in this default state. Go to the viewport. But as you can tell here, it's a little bit small, right? So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to change this from this 1.5 maybe to 1 for the scale while that's locked. And that should make it a little bit bigger. And actually, let's see, use the mouse scroll to slow down so you're not zipping all over the place like I am. And actually, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And let's try a 2. We'll see how that looks a little bit later. But since we've got that, we've got to select the collision, right? And the collision is the shape of the sphere. So just 16, we're going to change this to like 25. It's still a little bit small, so we do 30. And what we can do is we grab our sphere and we're just going to lower it down a bit just to make sure that the sphere is totally encased inside of the collision, right? Like so. And let me go ahead and select the sphere one more time. And yeah, so the collision, we can add a little bit lower. Let's try 25 one more time. I think 25 might work. So yeah, and that should be it. We do a compile and a save. Okay. And okay. And that should be good for that for now. We can close that. Now we're gonna need to go back, and for this final projectile, we're gonna use this for our bad Santa. So we're gonna open him up, and right here we're gonna add something here. We're gonna add a skeletal mesh. So let's go ahead and add a skeletal mesh. Let's see. First, go to the viewport. Yeah, we can add a skeletal mesh here. So maybe, yeah, to the collision component. So we're going to say add, and then find skeletal mesh, which is right here. And we're just going to say elf, elf weapon or whatever, or elf something. Okay. And what we need to do is we're going to have to set up several things here. So one, for this, let's do F2. Let's do elf mesh. Let's just say that. All right. So right here, we're going to need to grab the elf. So which is really not the elf, it's just Manny. Okay. And grab the Manny skeletal mesh. Okay. And then for the animation, we're going to use the animation blueprint elf, and that's going to make him look like that. And then also for the mesh, we want to change the scale. So we can actually change that at the scale. So let's make him 0.6. So now he's a small elf again. And then let's not forget, for the sphere, let's go ahead and change the sphere into the hat. So just type in, I think it's CAP for cap, and add that. And then we're going to scroll in, and we're going to take this this static mesh here. Let's see. Okay. And we need to, let's see, we're going to put it on his head. So right here, while we got the sphere mesh set, we're going to select here. Well, actually, let's take the sphere mesh and add it to the actual elf mesh. And then let's set it to his head. So let's go ahead and set that on his head. And then we use the E key. Well, while we got the sphere selected, E key. Well, let's see, we gotta select it. There we go. And just rotate this a bit so it looks like it's on his head again. And then the W key to raise that up. Just adjust this a bit. Hey, quick interrupt. Just wanted to let you know you're doing great. Now I know this is kind of a long tutorial, but this is what we got going on. So, while you're here, if you're enjoying the content, subscribe. If you like the content, then like the content. All right, back to the video. Take this that collision sphere. Okay. And we're gonna need to take the elf mesh actually and move him down here. Make it almost where it's like in the middle of him. And then we want to resize this collision sphere. So this collision sphere needs to be pretty big. So we're going to make it about, let's say 35. Let's start with that. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. We can take the elf mesh and lower him down a little bit more. That way, so it's the majority of him. Yep, and compile and save. And that should be good for now, but the only thing is what we want to do in the event graph here, we want to do like an event begin play. And on the event begin play, we want to play an animation. Or play montage rather. Okay, well, so play montage. And then right here, for the montage, we're gonna need to use the skeleton mesh, the elf mesh. And we're gonna select the actual ultimate. Now that's gonna be that, so when this character is being thrown at a player, he's going to do this ultimate like shake. And it'll look pretty cool. You only see it for a split second, but it'll look good. So yeah, that's what we're going to do right here. Compile and save. Save, and we can close this one out. Okay, so now we're back into our elf blueprint. And what we need to do is we're going to select the pawn sensing. Okay, so now right here, so like I said, back to the pawn sensing. What we're going to select here is on scene in the details panel. And then right here, we're going to drag off of here and we're going to do a cast to first person, okay? And then right here, we're going to add a set rotation. And then we're going to drag right off of here for new rotation is find and look at rotation. And then for the start of it, we're going to get actor location. For the target, we're going to get actor rotation. Get actor. I'm sorry, location again. Now, for the target, we're going to need the player character. That's what we got. So we're going to drag off of here and we're going to get the player character. Okay. So This is our self that's going to be the start of it, and then we're going to turn towards the actor. That's what's going to happen when the pawn, which is this elf, sees the player character. Okay? So make sure we neaten this up. And then right here, we're going to do a hold down D and do a left click. Let's see. D. And we're going to do a delay. And we're going to do that same thing we did earlier with the float range. So random float range right here. So we're going to set this to, let's see, 1 to 3 seconds, 1 for the minimum and 3 for the max. So between 1 and 3 seconds, we're going to do an elf attack. So AI elf or AI attack. Do a compile and a save. So it's going to trigger this code up here. Okay. So we got the roam here. Then after any time, we're going to start out roaming. And then anytime the character starts, it's going to attack right here. Every time the pawn senses, and that's what we got. And the set actor rotation, it's going to be itself. And then, again, it's going to change and look at that and then throw the snowball at the actual player character. Okay? All right. Continuing on. Let's go ahead and right-click here. We're going to do an event any damage. So when this character takes damage, we're going to need the character's mesh. Drag off of here, and we're going to do a spawn emitter. And for the emitter, we're going to use, it's going to be that one explosion one that's commonly used. Let's see, where is that? Did I pass it? Here we go, P explosion. Huh, that didn't sound good, P explosion. Oh well. Okay, moving on. So next we're gonna do a play montage here. And we need that skeletal component right here. So let's go ahead and drag off and put that on here. We're gonna drag off, connect it. We're gonna double click on this here just to neaten the code up. So that way when we're looking at it, it's nice and neat. And in case we ever need to troubleshoot. Okay, next, there's a component that goes here, but we haven't made that yet. But we will, but not yet. So next, we're going to do right off of here on this complete, we're going to do a stop movement. Do a stop character movement right here. And actually, we can drag this out a bit. And I'm leaving a little space here just to remind myself that there's going to be some type of code here. And then after that, we're going to destroy actor. Now, for the montage that we're going to play that knockback. So I believe it's called knock. Yeah, the elf knockback. And we're going to play the play rate a little bit quicker because it's slow to 1.5. And we can do a compile and a save. And then right here, let's just go ahead. We're going to take care of this right now, this knockback. We're going to go to the knockback montage. We're going to open it up. And then we're going to pause this right here. Bring this back close to the beginning. It doesn't have to be exact. We're going to right click and we're going to add a notify. The notify we're going to add is going to be play montage. So we're going to play a sound. We're going to play a sound montage. Select it. And remember what we downloaded earlier when I did the oh no wave? So I'm just going to type in oh no. Like that. So anytime this animation plays, it'll play that. So it'll sound like this. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Now, we don't want it to sound like that. We want it to sound more elf-like. So what we're going to do is make it a little bit louder as well. We're going to select this, and we're going to put this at 8. And we're going to also put the pitch modifier. Let's try, I'm going to try 6, just to see how it sounds.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Oh no.
So every time the elf gets hit, he's going to make this oh no sound. So like so.
Oh no.
And save.
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, so that's set. Let's close that. And then the other thing I don't think I made earlier is we need to do an event begin play on this one here. So we're going to do event begin play. And right off of here, we're going to need our Xmas PC. Let me see, our interface. Let me see, BPI. We're going to get the Xmas controller message, which is right here. And we're going to drag off of here, and we're going to do a player controller. So we're going to get the player controller. Oh, wrong one. Let's try that again. Get player controller. We need the green player controller ones. This one here is the pure function. And then right off of here, we're going to promote this variable. Okay, and that'll give us a ref because we're going to use that later. Then right here, we're going to do the AI run. Like so. Compile and save. Okay, so just to recap, we've got the AI run, we've got the AI attack, we've got the on seeing the pawn, so he sees him, he attacks, and then also we can take damage. So all these things are here. Okay, so with that being said, what we're going to need to do is we're going to, now I know this might be a little bit premature, but actually, yeah, before I add this piece of code here, we're going to need to open up the player controller. So let's go ahead and open up the player controller. Well, actually, you know what? No, to make it simple on us, I'm going to leave this like this for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our content folder. And what we need to do is go into our AI Xmas folder. Okay. And right here, we're going to do a Control D to duplicate. And that's going to be elf2. So it's going to be the exact same as elf1 and elf2. But the difference with elf1 is we're going to select the AI mesh. And instead of it being Quinn, we're going to make this Manny simple. All right, compile and save. So now if we open up elf2 and we look at the viewport, we got the female elf, and we go to the viewport for the male elf, and we've got the Manny elf. That's the reason we're doing that. So now we have two of the exact same code. Now, to make things even more interesting, we're going to go back to the event graph here, and we're going to just go ahead and we're going to grab everything here, okay? Do a Control C. We're going to open up our bad Santa, okay? And we're going to find some space up here at the top, and we're just going to do a Control V. And we can go ahead, we can create the functions here, which is fine, and confirm. Now, this AI is going to act, we're going to do a compile and save. Now, it's going to act exactly the same. So right here, we're going to need to refresh this. We're going to create this. And then right here, we're going to, let's see, refresh. Let me see, compile. Okay, yeah, I've had this issue before. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to, okay, so we got the two AI runs here. We're going to delete these, okay? And we're going to delete this here over in the functions because we don't need that as a function. Yes, we're going to delete that. And right here, we're going to have to remake these different ones. So, because even when you refresh it, I guess it's just the way the engine is, it won't do it right. So even with that copy paste. So we're going to scroll in here. Okay. And yeah, so we're going to take this right here. We're just going to delete that, and we're going to right click. We're going to do a custom, and we're just going to call this AI attack. AI attack. Okay, we can call this AI attack boss. Okay, which is fine. And connect that up. And then here, let's see. For this AI, we can do AI boss run as well. We can just delete this. Oh, so we just call this AI boss or AI run boss. Compile and save. Okay. So we've got the AI boss run here. And what we can do is we're going to add. Okay, so the boss run's got to also be at the end of this one. Wait, hold on. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to have to put it here. AI run boss, and then AI run boss, like so. Do a compile and a save. So yeah, remember on pawn sensing, let's see. Yeah, once he sees it, he's going to attack right here. He's going to do an AI attack. Oh, okay, so AI boss run, AI attack boss. So we don't want this one. We want AI boss attack boss, like so. Compile and save, because we want him to see it and then run the attack logic, which is going to be here. Now we don't want the primary attack. We want to type in air, and we want the regular one. This is the Richter's one. We want to make sure he uses his attack animations. As far as for the projectile, we're going to need Xmas projectile 3, because he's going to be throwing other elves at people. This is for the bad Santa, okay? Compile and save. And everything else can be the same. Okay, so as we can see, everything is pretty much exactly the same for all three of these classes. The only difference is that the animations the boss is going to use versus what, and the ammunition is going to be different than the elves, okay? So, and as a matter of fact, let's just go back and take a look at this projectile again. So this is the projectile we're using. We're going to double click that, okay? And yeah, so yeah, it's just going to be a little bit different because each of them have their own, okay? All right, we're going to close that for a second. And then now, let's see, we're going to temporarily close all this just so we're not confused. And then the next thing we need to do is we're going to need to go to the project, and we're going to need to go to, well, actually edit and then go to the project settings. And we're going to select maps and modes, okay? And instead of starting out in the third person, we're going to start out in the Gothic temple. So we're just going to type in Gothic, the Gothic temple, because we're going to set up the Gothic temple here in a second. And then we're going to close that and hit save. And then while we're at it, we're going to open a level. And the level we want to open, we want to go into the Gothic and then levels, and we're going to open the Gothic temple, okay? All right. Now that we're inside of the Gothic temple, we're going to have to take some things out of here. So just to customize this a little bit, because there's a lot going on here, we're going to, first, there's going to be empty little blank planes. So like you see this clear plane here, we don't really need this. So we can go to the outliner, lower this down, and actually, you know what? We might use one of these planes. But first, let's go ahead and let's start with we're going to leave this plane here. We're going to take number 2. we're going to hold down the shift button and we're going to scroll all the way down until we see every plane, until we hit 78, left click, and we're just going to go ahead and hit delete for that. Okay. And then the other thing is in the outliner, we're going to type in, let's say camera. So we don't need these cameras either. So we can left click on each of these and do a delete. We can even delete the folder it's in. Next, we're going to close that right there. And we're going to need to, let's see, we're going to need to move some of these trees around, but let's also get rid of tombstones because it's a happy time. Let's get rid of the tombstones. So just in the search, do the tomb, and then hold down the shift left and delete. And we can delete the tomb. We don't need that. Close that. And then let's just go ahead and zoom out a bit. And we're going to move some of these trees around because we want to make our playable area nice and big. All right, so let's see what we got. So let's, yeah, I'm just going to grab stuff and move stuff around, and you guys can watch on how I do it. So all I'm doing is moving all these trees to the outskirts, okay? Here we go. Okay, so for this next part here, I'm going to use these rocks here. As you can see, all I did was move the trees to the outskirts, and I'm deleting some of these rocks and things here because the more items you have in a level, the longer it takes to load. So, like for instance, like I don't need this rock here. We can delete that, okay? So right here, I'm going to left click, let's see, right here, and I'm doing control and left click. And what I want to do is I want to take this whole thing here, and I'm going to make this encase the whole area. So right here, I'm just gonna hold down Alt and drag. And then I'm gonna just continue to do that until I encompass this whole area. And then what I'm probably gonna do is make this rock bigger here just to fill in. All right, you can watch that part now. Okay, so now the other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make it like almost like a little courtyard here. So we're going to grab, I think, this rock right here, and I'm just gonna do it real quick and show you. So we're gonna hold down the Alt key and we're gonna drag and get that out here. And then we're going to, let's see, back out here. We're gonna do the R and we're gonna shrink this down a bit like so. And then we don't need it to be that wide because we're trying to make it like a wall like that. And that should be pretty good. And then we can just move that around. Okay, now that that part's done, we're gonna hit save. And what we wanna do here is we wanna add a start. So we're gonna go up here and we're just gonna type start. And we're gonna add the player start. Drag it out, put it right here. And then just so it's easy, we just drag this over here, lift it up a little bit and hit the E and D key, which is the end key, down here. And we can hit the R and rotate it so that way the character's facing that way. Next, we're gonna go to our content folder and we're going to go to our content, go to Xmas, and then right here, we're gonna add our music box. So let's go up, add the music box here. And we're gonna add the music box right here in the corner. And we can hit the W key, raise it up a bit, and then just hit the N key and it'll drop it on the ground. It's like so. So now we've got our music box. Music will start playing automatically. And then we got our start, but now we need our weapon. So we're gonna grab, I'm gonna grab this and drag this back just a little bit further. Okay. And then we can go to our content, go to our player character, go to our first person, go to our blueprint, and we need to grab our weapon and put that back on the field here. right here in front of the player should be good. Raise it up a little bit. Let's see. Oh, actually, see this little snow thing here? I'm just going to delete that because we don't need it. And you see how this says it's bad? We can select that and just drag it up a bit and hit the N key, and that'll fix that. And then as far as this, we want this to be in the air a bit, like so. And that way you can just, the player will see the gun right away and they can just walk up and grab it. Hit save. And okay, so real quick, if you hit the play button here, you're gonna see this Richter player character is not working. That's from the original one. So we can go into the Richter right here. And all we do is we can close that message out, go to Richter player right here. Now this is the other Richter blueprint. So we can just go ahead and delete all these things that are causing errors, including the touchpad. So just hit delete for that, compile and save. And we can close that out. Okay, so let's go ahead and test it out to make sure everything's working within this level. Hit the play button. Got our music playing, got our weapon, and we're gonna change this weapon to the Christmas gifts. So we see that everything's working, and we can hit escape for that. But first, while we're here, let's go ahead, we gotta add one more thing here, which is gonna be this nav mesh. So we're gonna click the add button here, and we're gonna select, you can just type in the search here, NAV, and the nav mesh bounds is right here. Just drop it right here. And what you can do is you can hit the P button, and that'll show you like what's going on right there. And we're gonna go to details, and right here, we're gonna just go ahead and put 10 right now, and that'll expand that out a bit. But we want it to go all the way up here and all the way to the top. So we're going to, let's see, so let's look at, hit W. So W is this green arrow, so we need to extend that out. So let's do, let's try 30. Oh, almost forgot. Unlock this, put this at 10, and we can put this other one at, I guess, 10 as well. Because the 10 and 10, see, it's gonna cause this box to go all the way up. So yeah, that should allow us to, we can go a little bit less than this, go 25. Yeah, 25 might be pretty good because we want only this little bit of area up here. And as you can see right here, there's no connection. We want, because this is all individual rocks, we want to make some type of connection here. And do you remember that plane I talked about earlier? We're going to grab that invisible plane for a second. And now I didn't do this before when I first made this project, but we're going to try it in this one. So we're going to go into the outliner. We're going to type in plane. Okay, see that plane right here? That one. Yeah, we're going to grab this plane. We're going to hit E. We're going to rotate it a bit. Let's see. And we need to do an R. We're going to shrink it down because it's very big. Okay, just shrink it down. Hit the W, and we're going to move it over here. And while we got our nav mesh here, we're going to put this here. Hit the E to rotate it. So we're going to rotate this slightly up. And we can rotate it slightly to the side. Move this over. And bring it up a little bit. Actually, you know what? I don't think I want to use that. So let's highlight the plane. We're just going to hit delete. And we're going to use something else. So let me see what we got here. Okay, we're going to find a mesh that's going to cover this little area here. So we're going to go here, content folder, and we're going to pick our static meshes. And you can see here we've got a bunch of static meshes. And the static mesh I want to use is, we need something that's flat. So, all right, let me take a look. Okay, so I just took the time to look up something and I found this base here. Maybe this will work. So we're going to stick this base support right here. We're going to raise it up and we're going to go into its details. and we're going to adjust its scale. So for the green part of the scale, we're going to do it at 3. Actually, let's do the red at 3. And let's do this one at 6. Okay. And then what we can do is, as you can see the nav mesh is already working. So we can do an an E, rotate it a bit, like so. Hit the W and move it forward a bit. And then that way, that is going to allow our character, we can delete this rock too. We don't need it. We can move that right here. This will allow, we're gonna put Richter up top here, and Richter will be able to actually, let's see, move that up here, up a little bit. Richter will be able to run down on this particular thing here. And we hit R, E, rotate it a little bit more. And then as far as W, we can extend the green out a little bit more. We'll put 8 for the green, just for the heck of it. Raise that up. Now that's all the way at the top. Okay. We'll do a save here. And then we're going to need to grab our Richter. So let's go ahead and clear the filter. Go to all. Close that. Go to content folder. And then we're going to grab Richter and just stick him right up here, like so. And hit the N key, R, E, and just rotate him. So he'll be at the top of the stairs here. And we can delete some of these extra things here. Because remember, the less things you have. Now if you select this is just the mesh for all of them. We want to keep that. That's just for aesthetics. We can even delete this tree here. We don't need this here. Get rid of some of these rocks. And then do a save. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the content folder. And we'll just start fresh from the content folder. We're going to go to the first person. And actually, hold on, let me double check something real quick. Roll that up. Okay, so yeah, we're going to need to add the game mode to this level. So let's go ahead and start by putting the blueprint first person. And we can see here we got our player controller. So that means everything should work within this. Now, let's go back to this folder here. And now we're going to work on the player controller. Okay, so we're going to start in the event graph. And we're going to need to use this event begin play, because remember, we can only have one event begin play on any given graph. So we're going to have to share it. Okay, so let me show you how. So basically, we're going to take this begin, we're going to move it over here. We're going to hold down the S key and do a left click, and that's going to give us a sequence node. So we're going to put that there. And then we're going to put the number 1 right here. Now, right here in the player controller, we're going to need to create the widget. So, because we made our widget earlier, so we're going to do a create widget. And the only widget we got is the Christmas one. Or that's, I believe it's Xmas main. So, Xmas. There we go. So, WB, Xmas main. And right here, for the owner, we're just going to do a get player controller, which is going to be this pure function right here. We're going to use that. Just going to raise that up a little bit. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure we promote the variable. And we're going to name this, let's see, Xmas widget ref. And then we need to add this to the viewport. So we're just gonna actually we can drag off of here and just type in add to viewport. Okay, and that's just going to put the widget in our viewport. Now, over here on this sequence, we're going to need to add about 2 more of these. And for these 2 right here, so for the next one, we're going to create this thing called an elf spawner, which is going to allow our elves to spawn. Okay, but we're just going to set it up right here. So we're going to drag off of here, and we're going to just create a branch. We're going to drag off of here, and we're going to promote this, and we're going to call this elf creator. Let's see, elf creator enabled, and then the question mark. Okay, so this will be set up here so that way we can add it to the true here. So right now it's gonna be, we're gonna compile and a save, and yeah, by default we want it to be true. So make sure that you select this and make sure it's true. Next, we're gonna go off this third one here, and we're gonna get all actors of class. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to use the bad Santa. So we're gonna get bad Santa. That was from the interface we made earlier. We're gonna connect this here, and we're gonna connect this here. Now, it's important that we get the blueprint of which one we want, because all this getting actors of all class, we're just typing bad Santa here. We want to make sure wherever it is in the level, because it's going to grab Santa and it's going to basically get his class, and we'll be able to take control of him because we're going to do something really cool with him. So let's go ahead and drag off of here, and let's promote this variable as well and leave it as it is. Compile, save. Okay, so while we're here, we're going to go up here, back up here to the top, and we want to grab our widget, and we're going to do a get. And right off of here, we're going to grab that that crosshair visible, and then the crosshair hidden, right? And we're going to make sure and to activate this, we're going to use the right mouse button. So let's just do a right mouse button. And when we hold the right mouse button down, that's when that crosshair will be visible. When we release it, that's when it'll hide again. And that's how we're going to do that. Do a compile and a save. Okay, moving on. So we're going to go down here, and we're going to create our elf spawner, okay? This is what's going to cause us to create our elves to spawn into level. So we're going to right-click here. We're going to do a CUST and enter. And we scroll in a bit. And we're going to call this elf spawner, like so. We're going to hold down the B button and left-click and go to branch. We're going to drag this character creator enabled right here. Or I'm sorry, elf creator. And then right here, we're going to pull off of here, and we're going to do a spawn actor by class. Let me see. Spawn actor from class. Okay. And we can drag off of here. We're going to promote that to a variable, and we're going to call that variable elf transform. Now this is just given the elf's location. That's what it is. So we can leave it like it is right now, because what we're going to do is we're going to first do a compile and a save. And what's going to happen is, right here, we're going to input the location here in a second. But before we do, let's continue on. So we're going to grab this again, and we're going to, as that's highlighted, we're going to do a Control D. Okay. And then we're going to do hold down the D and do a left mouse click. And we're going to put this delay right here in the middle. Okay, so we're going to have two different elf spawns. So let's go ahead and enter those in. So we got BP elf 1. It's going to spawn out first. Okay. And then over here, we're going to have BP elf 2. And we're going to have them spawn about 3 seconds. So you're going to get elf 1 first, and then 3 seconds later, the next elf. Okay. And what we can do with this here is, well, we can just lower this down here, and we can give them the same transform. They're just going to come out at the same spot, and just neaten it up a little bit. Do a compile and a save. Now, we're going to need to do another delay, because what's going to happen is we want the elves to keep spawning, okay? So we're going to hold down the D button, do a left click, and get another delay. Okay, but this time we're going to have this repeat. So we're going to drag off of here, and we're just going to do a float range. So random floating range. And we're going to do this for, let's say, 5 seconds or up to 10 seconds. Okay, so every 5 to 10 seconds, what we're going to do is we're going to replay this code again. We're going to replay the elf spawner, like so. Okay, compile and save. Hopefully this is starting to make a little bit more sense to you guys, and I hope you see. I tried to make it simple. So this is going to be our little simple elf spawner here. Drag that in. Okay. And I guess we can name this. Let's so we can easily identify the code. We're going to do let's highlight it, hit C. We're going to show a bubble. We're going to change this comment to elf spawner logic. And then we can change. I always like to do the spawns with yellow code. That's just the way I like to do it. But you can choose whatever color you want. So you can see it from a distance. We're going to also do the show bubble, like so. Okay. Now, the elf spawner logic, we want it to, this is going to turn on and off the elf logic here. So we can go ahead and we can drag off of here, and we can type in elf spawner. So now at the event begin play, this will play as long as this is on. And then as far as this, when the elf spawner is going, it's going to keep going until this is disabled, like so. But it's going to start out enabled. So soon as everything starts, it's just going to start pumping out elves. But we're going to set it up to where once we kill enough elves, then we're going to have the big boss come out, and this will stop this logic. So let's do a compile and save for that. Okay, so now for the next thing, we're going to need to trigger the elf count. So the elves can count. So whenever they die, it'll count the triggering. So we're going to right click here. We're going to do a custom event, and we're going to do trigger elf count. Okay, scroll in there, look real good. And then we're going to need like 2 branches, I think. So let's see, we're going to need a branch here and a branch over here. And then for this one, I believe we're going to need a greater equals. Yeah, we're going to need a greater equal here. And while we're at it, well, we can also add this branch over here. So this one, we're going to need just an equal. So just hit the equal sign twice, and that'll be that equal operation there. Okay. Now we're going to need a couple of these variables because we're dealing with the health. We can hook these up. Make sure this false goes into this one here. And what we're going to need is, let's see, we're going to need some floats. So we're going to need, let's see, current elf count. And for that, we're not using a Boolean. We're going to use a float. We're going to hit the plus sign again. We're going to need max elves. We can do that. And then, so we got the current, the max, and then we're going to need a new elf count. So we're going to count this one, and we're going to type in new elf count. like so. Control Shift S to save. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grab and drag different ones on here. So make sure you do the elf count right here. So that's the current elf count's got to go on this top one. The bottom one's going to be the max elf count. And then as we go over here, let me neaten this up a bit. We're going to need the current elf count to match, to be equal to the new elf count. Like so. And then right here. Neaten the code up a bit. Okay, now for the true on this part here, we're going to need to do an increment. So we're going to do an increment. An increment, basically, it's going to be an integer increment. An increment will allow us to, I'm trying to think, is this a float increment? No, I'm sorry. I think I need the float increment. Let me change that. And actually, we can use the current elf. Let's do the current one. So let's do the current elf count. And then we're going to do an increment. Increment float. And then from the increment float, connect that up. And then from here, we're going to do we're going to set. So hold down the Alt key. And then we're going to grab the current elf count. And we're going to cause this increment to set it. So it's going to go up. Increment means it's going to go up by 1. A decrement, de-increment or decrement or whatever, it's going to subtract 1. But we're increasing it. Because every time we kill an elf, we're going to fire off this triggered elf count logic, okay? Then we're going to hold down the Alt key again. After the current elf count, we're going to get the new elf count. Hold down the Alt, let go, and that's just going to give us the only reason I'm saying hold down the Alt button while you're dragging and dropping is to give the actual set and get node. So this is a set node. So we're just setting it. This is what we're doing here. Okay, right here, we're going to drag off of here. We're going to need a toText integer. toText, or is it toText integer or float? No, it's integer. Or toText float. Okay, that's fine. And then from here, we're going to need to get our widget reference. So we're going to grab our widget. So we're going to get the widget. And right here, remember earlier we made that elf kill count? Let's see if we can find it. So elf, yeah, we're going to do a set of the elf kill count right here. And then we're just going to hook this up like so. So we're pulling it from the widget so it can update the widget. That's what this is for. Okay, and then right here, just to have a print string, we're going to do print string, and we're going to put elf destroyed. That way we get a little notification letting us know that the elf has been destroyed. And we can make it, I guess, orange, or we can say, meh. Yeah, we can make it an orange color. And we can have it sit up there for about 5 seconds. And now we know that an elf has been destroyed. So compile and save. Okay, so now if this state changes here, let's see, hold on. If this state changes, we're going to do a print string, okay? This is just going to help us let us know that, hey, the boss is coming. Okay? And we can make that a red. And we can do that as 5 as well. And then right here, we're going to need this. We're going to hold down the Alt key and drag this elf creator. And when the boss is coming, we're going to leave this false because it's going to turn off the elf creator. And we want that because the bosses come, now it's time to fight the boss by yourself. So there'll still be some elves floating around, but it'll be because you didn't kill them. So that's the problem, but not a problem. It's all in good fun. All right, so let's drag off of here. We're going to do a do once node. So we're only going to do this logic. We're going to fire this off once. And then right here, we're going to drag off of here. And okay, so this is where we're going to have to create something for the bad Santa. So we got a bad Santa ref right here. But there's some code that we have to add. And basically, we're going to make Santa come alive. He's going to start out as like a stone statue, and then he's going to come to life. So that's what that's for. Do a compile and save. We'll have to come back to that. Okay, so now while we're here, let's go ahead and we're going to create, see, this elf logic here. Okay, so we got this max elves. What we're gonna do is we're gonna set this, we're gonna give it, I'm not gonna create a whole UI, but I'm just gonna set some keys to where you can change how many elves you need to kill in order to bring the boss out. So we're gonna do a right click here. We're gonna do a one key, right? Oh, not that. We're gonna do right click, one key. Yep. And then what we want to do is we want to grab the max elves, hold down the Alt key and drag that out. We're going to say the max elves you have to kill are 10. And we're going to do a print string. And we're just going to connect this up here. So that way all that's going to happen is in the upper left corner, you're going to see something that says 10, and that's going to tell you how many. We can make that white and hit OK. And we're going to have that sit up there for about 10 seconds, like so. Now, what we can do is, well, we can copy this code. So Control D, Control D. And then we're going to do a 2 key for this one. Right here. So let's put the 2 key. And then finally, we're going to do a 3 key. Right here. Drag off of that. And I guess we could leave a note here. We're going to just call this elf max count. And do a compile and save. So that way at any point, as long as there's elves on the board, you can just hit one of these buttons and it'll change the max count before logic takes off. Once the logic starts, that's when we're gonna activate all this, and then the bad Santa's can come out and he's gonna come alive. So that's what we're gonna do for that. Okay. We can actually leave this up, but we need to go back to the content folder because we're gonna need to fix a couple things with the weapon and the, well, not the weapon, but the actual firing of the weapon and of that nature. So we're gonna go back into the first person set, first person, into the blueprint. And then while we're here, what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to first, we're gonna go to the BP weapon component, okay? And right in here, we're going to need to create, instead of spawning this projectile, so see right here, we got the spawn projectile. We're gonna change that. We're gonna change that to this elf here. I'm sorry, this gift here. So this projectile to where select it, and then we're going to add it to that. So we're gonna be spawning this projectile, okay? Now, while we're here, let's just go ahead and go to, well, first compile and save. And I think that's all we need for this weapon component. So, but we do need to go browse to this, and we're going to double click and open up this one. And what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna go to the collision component, highlight it, scroll down until we see on component begin overlap. We're gonna select that. It's gonna create this blueprint or this node right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to need to cast to a pawn. So we're going to do other, and we're going to do cast to pawn. Okay, and we want the projectile when it overlaps with, one of the elves or Santa or whoever, we're going to want to apply damage. Okay, so let's go ahead and drag off of here. Let's apply damage. See, apply. Yeah, apply damage. Okay, and we're gonna see the damage. Okay, damage actor. That's gonna be the damaged actor, and then right off of here, the causer is gonna be self. Okay, let's get a reference to self, and then right here, this damage we're gonna do a random. I'm sorry, random float range. So yeah, this node that we keep using, exactly. So now this is going to be for our character because he's using the present. So we're going to say he's doing, let's say 10 points to, it can fluctuate 25, okay? We'll compile and a save. So yes, okay, now we're going to need to do something with the other two projectiles. So we're going to compile and save for this one, okay? And we're going to pull up, let's see, this other one. See. We're going to pull up this snowball here. And then for the snowball, well, we can go back to the projectile. We can copy this code here, just do a Control C. And then right down here, we're going to do a Control V. Okay. But now, oh, I'm sorry, not for the weapon component. Delete out of that. Actually, I think we're done with this weapon component. I don't think we need to do anything with this now. The only thing we want to do was spawn the projectile, okay? So we're going to close that out because we don't need to do anything with that. But for this one here, we're going to go to number 1 projectile. Now, number 1 projectile is the snowball. We're going to do a Control V, and that's what we want. But we don't want to use a cast to pawn. We want it to hit the player. So we're going to say cast to first person character. Okay? And like so. That's what we want to do for this projectile. So we're going to copy this one because we're also going to use this for the bad Santa. So let's just go ahead and do a compile and a save. So projectile 1, projectile 2, exactly the same. So projectile 2 is the weapon that we're using. Projectile 1 is what the AI is using. So we're doing the same damage to each other. Except when we hit the AI, they're going to die from one hit. So that's going to be the main difference. Okay. So for this projectile, projectile number 3, we're at the event begin play. This is what the character is just going to be moving like this with this animation. But the projectile, we're going to do a Control V down here. And it's going to do the exact same thing. The only difference is we're going to change this from 25 to 50 because throwing an elf at a person versus a snowball should do more damage. Oh, the other thing before I forget, make sure you select the damage type for each of these. So do a compile and save. So number 3, damage type, very important, otherwise it won't work. Compile and save. And also for that number 2, damage type, compile and save. Okay, so that should be all set. So we can close these projectiles out. That's all. That should be all set. And then right here, we're going to leave this open, but we're going to need to make the player character. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the player character real quick, which is the first person player character. Okay. And we're going to need to add some code here as well. Okay, so right here, we're going to start with the event begin play. And then next, we're going to grab the get Xmas controller message. Drag off of here. We're going to get player controller. We need that green one, that pure node. There we go. And then we're going to promote this as a variable. We're going to leave it as the ref that it currently is. Right beneath here, we're going to do an event any damage. Now, right here, we're going to need, let me close this back up a bit. We're going to need, also we're going to need the camera shake. So let me just add that real quick. So play world camera shake. And if you remember earlier, we could select, we only had one. So it was this CS action camera hit shake. So when the characters hit, the camera will shake. That's what that's for. And then for the epicenter, we're gonna get actor location, okay? Now, we need to make the health logic for the apply any damage, otherwise the character doesn't lose health. So let's do that. So we're going to add a function right here, and we're gonna call this health logic, okay? Compile, save. All right, I'm just going to actually just put the health logic in. Well, actually, first we got to make some variables. So let's start with that. So we're going to need, let's see, health. We're going to say cur for health current. And we're going to change that into a float. We're going to add another one. And we're going to do health max. This should look familiar. It should look the logic should look very similar to the health count. So, but continuing on. And then I think that's all we need. Yeah, I think that's all we need. So I don't even think we need this one. We can delete that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna build the logic, and after I finish it, I'll give a brief description and I'll show it so you can copy it. Okay, here we go. Okay, I had to stop here for a second because I figured I would need to share this with you. So basically, we're gonna have to use the controller ref here. So let's see, right here, and we're gonna get the widget from this. So we need to get the Christmas ref so it looks just like this. And then right here, we're going to just type in update the health bar. This is where we're going to update the health bar here in this blueprint. So every time this character is hit, it'll update the health bar. And then right here, we're just going to go ahead and connect the current health with health and the max with the max. So yeah, let's go ahead and neaten this up. Move this over a little bit like so. And that should cover that. Now, see, next we're going to move on here. First, we're going to hold down the B button for the branch. We're going to need this branch here, but we're going to also need an equals here. So we just hit the equal button twice. And then we're going to have the current health if the current health equals 0. So drag the current health here. And then if it equals 0, we're going to activate our death logic up there, and then the other logic, the hit logic to the bottom. So, all right, so let's go ahead and put this here, and we can do a print string. print string, and then we're just going to put, character health 0 dead. And then we're going to drag off of here. Well, no, actually, let's continue on with this logic. Okay, so right here, we're going to grab this. We're going to have to grab the reference again. And we're going to get the widget. So we're going to get the Christmas widget here. And we're going to do the show you lose. Show lose you lose text. Like we had set up before. And then another thing that's going to be important is we're going to stop the character's movement, because if they're dead, they shouldn't be moving, right? So that's at least that's the logical thing. And we're just going to go ahead and set movement mode. Set it to none. And that will stop the character from moving. Now that we've got the death sequence there for that, we're going to need, let's see, move this back out the way. Let's see, right here. We're going to need the character hit logic. So we're going to do another print string. And we're just going to put here, let's see, all caps, you have been hit. Question mark or explanation. And then we're going to also change this to orange and hit OK. We can leave it at 2 seconds, which is fine. And then right here, we're going to copy this code here, duplicate it, and then this is where we want to show the health bar. So we're going to show health bar. And remember, it's only going to show up for a couple seconds, and then it's going to disappear, just showing you that, hey, you've been hit. Do a compile and a save. Okay, so let's take a look at this code. So we've got, like I said, our different current health. It's going to subtract health every time we get hit. 0 is the minimum. The max health is going to be 200. We'll just put 200 for the character. And hit compile and save. So we not only want to set the current health and the max health, we want to set them both to the same. So that's 200 for each. And then, right, so then, yeah, like I said, after it does this, it's going to update the health bar. It's going to check if the current health is, if you still have health, it's going to go down here, and it's going to do show the health bar thing here. And then, yeah, then after that, it's going to go up here, and that's where you're going to see the death where you can't move, and it's going to show that you lose text. Okay, and that's what covers that. Show that for a minute, and then I'll show this for a minute. Okay, so now that should conclude the health logic, but we're going to need to go back to our event graph here. And right here, we're going to drag off of here. Well, actually, we're going to grab the health logic, drag it off of here, hook it up, hook the incoming damage here, and then this will go here. So every time we take damage, we'll also have the camera shake. Do a compile and a save. Now, right here, we're going to use the same health logic. So we're going to right click on this, and we're going to do a copy. So we're copying this health logic here because we're going to use this for Bad Santa as well. So let's go ahead and pull up Bad Santa. Okay, so he's under content, this AI Xmas folder. We're just going to open him up. And then right here where the construction script is, we're just going to highlight this here, and we're going to do a Control V, okay? Now, we can leave that there, and what we want to do is, because these are not populated, we're going to right-click, and we're going to create variable, not local variable, just create all the variables. So we're just create variables. Make sure that all of our variables are created. The other thing is, since this health bar is going on the Bad Santa, he doesn't really need this, okay? Rather, what he's going to need is the elf count. The set elf count. I think is it the elf count? Well, I'll come back to that. Okay, first, let me see. We got that. Oh, we don't need to show a health bar. Okay. And I just want to make sure we don't have, oh, we don't need to update the health bar. Okay. So, yeah, that's going to be some of the differences between the actual character and the bad Santa versus health logic versus the characters. Okay, so we're gonna need to just hook this directly up right here. And we don't need this here, and I don't think we need this either. So we're gonna drag this over here, and we can move all this stuff over a bit. So we're gonna do a show you win here. Show you win text, because once he dies, this character, once the boss dies, that's when you're gonna get the show you win text from the widget. Connect that up. And then right here, we're gonna destroy the actor. And then right after we destroy the actor, we're going to we're gonna spawn an emitter. We're gonna spawn emitter at the location, and it's gonna be this Richter one. I just can't remember. Let's see, Rick Tor. I believe it's this one. Actually, let me take a look. Let me see if I can go there real quick. Yeah, I think that's gonna be cool. We'll do that one. Okay. So let's see, we've got that, and then we're gonna need the location. We're gonna do it at the actor's location. Like that. And then also remember, we gotta make sure we give it the health current and max. And for this, we're gonna do a compile and a save. And we're gonna give, let's say Richter, we'll give him 350 for his health, and for the max 350 as well, because we want those to match. Compile and save. Now, right here, we don't want to say you've been hit. We'll just say bad Santa's been hit. So bad Santa has been hit. Compile and save. And then right here, we're going to play an animation. So we're going to play a montage. And the montage we want to play is the hit back montage. And then while we're here, let's go ahead and put that. Let's do a compile and a save. And for this montage, we're just gonna hit this browse button. We're gonna go to it. We're gonna double click it. And I know right now you can't see it. I don't know why that is. I've had this issue before, but we can pause this. And whenever we do this hit montage, somewhere about here, like towards the beginning, we're going to right click right here, and we're gonna add a montage notify. We're gonna play a sound. Okay, make sure it's close to there. And the sound we're gonna play is same one as before. Oh no. Oh no. All right, should sound familiar. So we're gonna also make it 8 as far as the volume. Now, For this one, we're going to, let's see. We're going to, well, make sure we save, but I want you to hear it first.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, that's just my
Oh,
regular
no.
voice saying, oh no, right? So we're gonna change that a bit. So for this pitch multiplier, we're gonna do a 0.6, okay? And then we're going to hit save and we're gonna hit play again. And now listen to it.
Oh no. Oh no.
So now he sounds like a little bit deeper. So he's a deeper, older robot. So we're using the same asset we used for the elves. Let me pause that. We're using the same asset we used for the elves, but we're also using for this. So we're just, we're just using the same asset again, but just tweaking it a bit. So yeah. So we can save that and we can close that out. So every time Santa gets hit, he's going to make that oh no sound. Okay? Compile, save. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the event graph for a second. Okay, so right here, we're gonna need to add, in the event graph here, we're going to add, we gotta add the health logic. So on any damage, we're gonna add that right here. Okay, I'm sorry, we gotta add this to the front of the code. That's my fault. So on bad Santa, on apply any damage, we're gonna add it right here because we wanna add the damage here from the what's coming in and to right here. Okay. Okay, so for this part here, because we have everything contained inside the health logic, we can actually remove all this. We don't need any of this. So if you look, we delete this out. Because, yeah, so right here, as soon as he takes the damage, then all the bad Santa's logic will act in here. So when he dies, he will, or when he gets hit, he'll do this emote here. When he dies, he will do the show that you won. He won't move. He'll be destroyed and he'll explode with this particular thing. After you do, of course, 350 damage. So we can compile and save that. Now we're gonna go back to the event graph and we got some other stuff we need to do here. Okay, so we're gonna need to use this event begin play again. Okay, and we're inside the bad Santa stuff here. We're going to drag this up here. We're gonna hold down the S key and do a left click, and that's gonna give us the sequence node again. And we're gonna leave that down here, so that way we can still run our sequence here because we need that. Okay, and then right here, we're going to unhook that and we're going to create a variable and it's going to be called can attack question mark, and we're going to hold down the alt button and drag and drop, and we're going to put that here and we're going to leave that at false. So when he starts at begin play, he cannot attack. Okay, that's what we're doing there. Okay, now from this point, we're going to grab the actual mesh. Okay, drag it on here. And we want to set the materials for this. Let's do a compile and save. So we click on this here. Let's see what we got here. All right. So we're going to do a set mesh. So we're going to do set mesh, or set material rather. Okay. Set material. I don't know why it duplicated that, but that's okay. We can, we don't need both of these. We can just delete that. And then what we want to do is we want to make 4 of these. So we're going to drag this up. We're going to give ourselves some room. Okay, so right here, we're just going to duplicate it. And we're going to select these two, and we're going to duplicate it again. Okay. Now, for all of these, let's see what we got. We're going to need to duplicate all these again. So duplicate that. Okay. And then right here, we're just going to grab, and we're going to have to target all these. So all of these are going to need this, they're going to target the mesh. Okay. And this is the material that we're going to change, which is his mesh. Like so. And then while we're here, let's just go ahead and add one more of these. And we're going to hold down Control and move this here. And then we're going to do a one here. Oh, and then we're going to do another one right here. Okay. Now, we're not done. We're going to need not only to add the mesh for that, but we're going to drag off, we're going to grab another mesh. And we're going to need to set the anim class. Now, the reason we're doing this, when we start out, we're going to leave this blank. But the reason we're doing this is so when we start, he will be in a T-pose and he'll be stuck frozen. Now, I mean, we could set him up into some type of animation or whatever, but I figured it'd be best to do it this way, just to keep things simple and flowing. Okay, now we're going to grab all this right here. Okay, all of this, highlight all that. So from this can attack Boolean all the way to the sequence, all that stuff. And we're going to Control D, duplicate right here. And what we're going to do is leave that here. And then we're going to make a custom event. And we're going to call this Bad Santa Lives. Okay. And we can add that on there. And we want Bad Santa to live, so we're going to check that right there. And then right here, we're going to need to, well, first, let's just go, so make sure we got it. We're going to go to the content folder. And we're going to go to this character here. And we're going to go to, well, first, let's do a Control-Shift-S. And we're going to, oh, I'm sorry, we're already in Bad Santa. My fault. We're going to need to go to his mesh, pull out over here, and see his animation blueprint. We're gonna go to it just so it's highlighted, and then right here on the anim class, we're gonna hit this little arrow and we're gonna add it right here. So that way, when he lives, he'll come to life with this. Okay. Now, over here, we need to add something to these different ones, but first we got to name the element. So we got 0 element. Name each element. 1. Now I should have did this before I copied it, but that's okay. 2, 3. And then right here, we're going to do 4, and then 5, and then finally we're going to do 6, and then 7. Now, right here, we're going to select a material, and we're going to go for Snow Rock. Now, the reason we're choosing that, this is the same material as the snowball, so we're just going to do that for that one. And what we're going to do is highlight it and click on it, and it's going to bring us right to it. Actually, let's do Snow Rock 2. This will give it more of a snowy, rocky look. So it'll make Richter look like a statue. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to hit the arrows for all these because we want all of them to look exactly the same because we're changing the material of everything here. Okay? See how it's populating? That's what we want to do. Populate that too, like so. Compile and then save. Oh, now you see right here, I didn't add the mesh. You got to make sure you have all the targets here. Compile, save. Okay, all those are done. Now, we didn't do it for over here either because remember we duplicated it, so we're going to have to go ahead and target that as well. Now, over here, we're going to do the same exact thing, except we're going to keep all of Richter's stuff the same. So we're going to do 0. We got to put the numbers in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. And we can do a compile and save. Now, when those numbers we're counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these are the elements. See all these different elements here? That's what we're changing. So now, when we want our character to come back to life, we're going to say, yes, he can attack. And if he can attack, then all this is going to go on. We're going to activate all these materials and then activate his animation, which is going to allow him to run through the nav mesh. Okay? So let's go ahead and we're going to scroll this a little bit like this. We only need the top 7 materials here. We're not doing all of them. We're just doing 7 of them. That gives it enough to make it look like a statue. And we're going to click on these little triangles, these browses, and when it highlights, we're just going to go 0 to 0. And we're going to do that for rest. So right here, element 1 is highlighted here, there. And we're just going to do that for all of them. Element 2, to just keep going. As long as it's highlighted, that's when you know that you've got it. And 3, try not to get confused on which element you're on. And then 4. And then 5. And then 6. And then 7. Right there. Compile and save. Okay, something that I forgot about. We're going to have to go back to our Gothic temple. And inside of here, we're going to need a location for our elves to spawn. So what we can do is we can grab this box. We're going to lift this box up here. And we're going to move it over here. And you want it to be in the air somewhat because the elves are going to drop down like right here. And we're going to grab the location. So right here, while the location's here, we're going to right click and we're going to do a copy on the details of this box being highlighted. Now we can move this back and down, hit the N key, and that'll put it on the ground. Now we already copied our location. So let's go back to this here. And right here for the transform, we're going to select under your elf spawner logic. We're going to right click here and we're going to do a paste and do a compile and save. Because if we don't do that, then the elves won't spawn anywhere. Okay? Okay, something that I forgot to hook up was over here in the player controller. We're going to go to player controller and we're going to go down to where we can activate the bad Santa here. So we're going to do Bad Santa Lives, because we didn't have this at first. So we're going to add that as well. And then we're going to do a compile and save. Okay, so something else I forgot to add, this can attack here. We're going to need to add this to more parts of the Santa code. So right here for the pawn sensing and the actual sensing on pawn, this needs to have some branches. So we're going to hold down B and do a left click 2 times to get the branch. We're going to add this to here and make sure that we put those branches inside of both of these codes right here. And then right here, we're going to do can attack. We're going to just drag and drop that right into there. Because if you don't, then Santa's just going to start attacking randomly anyway. So we don't want that. Do a compile and a save. Now, by default, the can attack I believe should be true. So we do a compile and a save. And then when the event begins play, it's going to set it to false. But then once you killed so many elves, we're going to activate this code and it's going to trigger this can attack for the bad Santa. Okay, so I took a slight break and I went to check some of the code. And there's a couple fixes I want to go through with you real quick. And we're almost there. So we're almost at the finish line of finishing this project. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so the first thing I noticed, let's see what we got here, is that I have this AI run here. We don't want this here because this is going to cause your Santa Claus to run around endlessly. And that's not what we want. The next thing we're going to need is while the Santa Claus is being in uh, while the Santa Claus is in attack mode or non-attack mode, while he's the stone statue, we want to use this setting of the max health here. Let me show you how I got that. All right, so basically we're going to go all the way over here because this is the event begin play. And we're going to put the code right here. So first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to hold down the Alt key. And we need the current health. And then we're going to also drag in the max health, okay? We're going to connect these two up because we want them to be exactly the same. And we're going to go ahead and connect this up to the code right here. Now, for this, we're going to put this at 9,900, like 99,000. Now, the reason we're doing that is because our character only does about 25 damage. So we want to make it really hard to kill the actual Santa Claus, make it almost impossible and not worth the time because they're in stone mode. So basically it makes them kind of invincible. So we're going to do a compile and a save. And while we got that, we're just going to do a Control D. Okay, sorry, let me highlight that back. Control D. And we're going to duplicate that. And we're going to grab this and we're going to drag this to where Bad Santa lives. And we want to make him killable, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to hook this up right here. And we're just going to set this to 350 hit points. And that's going to set the current and max health. And we're going to do a compile and a save. Now, there was another part where basically under the health logic, I want to change. We're going to go to the health logic, just double click, and it's going to pull up the function we made earlier. And right here, where the spawn emitter is, I want to change that. There's another emitter I liked. If you type in, I think it's ULT, it's going to be the ultimate burst is the one we want, I believe. So we're going to select, like you see right here, ultimate burst. This should be the actual one we want to use. The other thing is we want to change the scale. Let's just go ahead and put 10 all the way around right here for the scale. That way we'll have a big explosion when the evil Santa Claus dies. I'm going to do a compile and a save. Okay, and we can close this for now. I don't think we'll need to come back to it, but if we do, we can always come back. We'll close this. Now, we're going to go back to our player controller right here. And what we're going to need to do, we're going to need to set the elf count. So the elf max count, we're going to highlight this. Oh, I'm sorry. I think we might have done it already. Or maybe, yeah. You want to select this and then make sure it says 5 for its default. Now, the reason we're doing that is so when the game starts, it automatically has a kill count of 5. And remember earlier, whenever you hit 1, 2, or 3, we can set the different. Oh, while we're here, let's fix this too. Let's go ahead and put 20 here. And let's put 30 here. So that way, if you do a compile and save, that way, if you hit the 1 button, the 2 button, or the 3 button, you'll get 10, 20, or 30. So you'll have to kill 10 elves to get Santa to come out, or you can hit 20. But at default, it'll be the 5, okay? Okay, so by default, another thing we're going to change is we want to make this kind of controller ready. So right here, okay, so we've got this crosshair visibility. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a controller thing for it as well. So let's add, let's see, we're just typing gamepad. Let me see. Okay, so what we want is the gamepad. I'm going to say it's the right. No. Left bumper. Bumper? Let me see. Left shoulder. I'm sorry, gamepad left shoulder. Let's add this one real quick. And the only thing we're going to do here is, now I could do an actual input action, but instead of doing that, I just decided I'll just do it like this, just to make it quick and simple for this tutorial. So now we're going to do a compile and save. So if you use the gamepad, it's going to use the left shoulder, and I believe the right trigger is going to be for the actual shooting. So the left shoulder will be the actual crosshair visibility, and then yeah, okay. So we've compiled, we saved that. Okay, now again, that should be okay for the player controller. We can close that. And then what we want to do is we're going to go back to our content drawer. And I guess while we're here, we're going to open up our projectiles here. So we're going to do a hold down control, well, select one, hold down control, and we're going to left click and grab all of these. And oh, by the way, if you don't know where we are, we're in the content drawer, first person set, first person, and blueprints, and that's where these logics are. So we're going to do a right click and we're going to do an edit to pull up all three of these. Now, here's something that is very, very important. We're going to select, well, let's go to the viewport. We're going to go to the collisions. And then right here, we've got this sphere here. Let's make it a little bit bigger because that's going to make it easier to hit the player. So we're going to do 50 for the sphere radius, okay? So we've got the collision highlighted and 50, and see what it did? It expanded it. So that way when our elves hit, this box will actually hit the actual player character. Compile and save. Now, the other major important thing, and we're going to have to do this for the other two projectiles as well, is we need to go into the actual collision. Okay. Okay, so the collision right here. So we're going into this collision right here, and we're going to go down and see where it has the custom collision. Yeah, we're going to, instead of it saying ignore, because what's going to happen is it's the ignore right here, it's just going to go through the player character, and we don't want that. We want it to overlap so that way the character can take damage. And we can do a compile and a save. Now, let's go ahead and go, now that's for Projectile 3. So Projectile 2, we're going to have to do some similar stuff. We're going to hit the viewport here. And again, let's zoom in here a little bit. We're going to select the collision box. And right here, this collision box is cool, but the problem is if this part, any part of the president hits the elf, or I mean, yeah, it's not gonna do anything. It's just going to seem like you're shooting at it and your projectiles aren't working. So let's just go ahead and go to the sphere radius, okay, under shape, and hit 30 and enter, and that will make it a little bit bigger. And we'll go to the sphere's mesh itself, and we'll just drop it down just a little bit, so that way it's completely encased inside this collision box. Do a compile and a save. Now that that's in there, it should hit the elves in every aspect, okay? Now, we need to do the same thing. We gotta go back to the collision for this one. Let me see, I just saw the collision. Oh, here we go. The collision right here. Oh, I'm sorry. We gotta select, make sure you select the collision components, okay? Then go to the collision. It's under this custom tab here. And we want to change this pawn from ignore into overlap again, compile and save. So that way we can actually hit the mechanical elves, okay? And that should cover that. We can go ahead and close that. Okay, Projectile 3 is done. We can close this one as well. Now back to the viewport. Now Projectile 1, it should be pretty good. But, you know, just to be on the safe side, we could actually, let's see, select a collision. We can actually go ahead and we can increase the scale a little bit, maybe 20. Let's see how that looks. Okay, 20 is a little bit big. Let's try 18. Actually, let's see. Yeah, we can go 20. 20 is okay. So that way, when the elves are throwing these at you, it'll hit you, okay? And then we want to make sure we go back down to the collision. Instead of it being ignored again, make sure it's overlap. Do a compile and a save. And that will cover that part. Okay, I prematurely closed Elf 1 and 2, or actually we gotta go to Elf 1 and 2, I'm sorry. We're gonna go to the content drawer. We can start the content drawer. And we want to go to this AI Xmas folder here. And Elf1 and Elf2, we're going to, left control. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just right click and then we're going to do an edit and open both of these up. Now, okay, let's take a look at where we are. So let's start with Elf1, okay? With Elf1, we're going to go right to the event any damage. As you can tell, we put it down here. And we want to type in the word pelvis, Pelvis, in lower caps. That's just what the bone name is of this mesh, because that's where we're going to spawn this explosion emitter, okay? Okay. Now, the other thing that we're going to have to add, if you haven't added this already, is this elf count trigger, okay? So let me show you how I got this. Okay, so basically right here on the event any damage, we're gonna grab our player controller reference, and then we're gonna just drag off of here, and we're just gonna type in elf trigger account, okay? We're gonna put complete, and then right here. So that way, every time the elf dies, it's gonna make the count go up on inside of our player controller. Make sure you compile and save. Let's do the same things that we did for that elf1 and do it for elf2. So right here, pelvis. And then right here, if you haven't done it, add the elf trigger count right here. Compile and save. Okay, that should be all we'll need for these two, so we can go ahead and close elf2 and elf1 out. And then there's another thing I wanted to fix, which was we're going to go back to our content folder, to first person folder, and into our Xmas right here. What I want to fix is right here. So select the actual count here for this Xmas main menu. And what we want to do is right here, there's a place where we can, like we did here, we need to figure out the shadow outline color, or not color. We're going to need the outline size, which is right here. And I believe 5 should work. So let's try the 5 here. And if you scroll in, let's see, we do a compile and save. And you can see we've got the outline here, okay? Okay. Yeah, there was something else I thought about that was kind of, that's not working correctly. Well, there's two things. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our content folder and make sure if you go to content folder, right here, open it up. We're going to open up Elf1 and 2 again, and we're going to do a right click and an edit. Now, the reason for this is right here, if you have this stop active movement, this is not what we want. So if you look, we're at the any damage. We want to actually, not this one. See, it says target is nav movement component. We can just delete that. We're going to drag off of here, and we're going to put stop movement immediately. This is what we want right here. So the movement component, we're going to stop immediately. Otherwise, it's going to delay the destroy actor. So that's what we got so far for the Elf2. Let's go ahead and make sure we fix that for Elf1. Okay. I was playing with this earlier, so let's drag off of here. Stop movement. And we want to stop movement immediately. Okay. Compile and save. Because I believe we duplicated this code multiple times, we can also go back and open up the Bad Santa blueprint, and we can do that for him as well. So we want to make sure we're in the event graph, and we want to go to, let's see, the any damage. Yeah, okay, so perhaps we do need to go in here. No, actually, this should be fine for the bad Santa. So we can leave this right like this. This is fine. Okay. So we can close this back out. I don't think we need the elves anymore. And then we need to go to, we can close this out as well. We're going to go to the Gothic temple here. And right here where the Santa is, we're going to need to fix something real quick here. Now, I learned this when I had one of my family members playing with the game. And basically, we want to delete some of these small things here. So like this little rock here, we can delete. We can delete this. And what we want to do is we want to make sure we encase the Santa Claus here. Let's see. With these particular things here. So let's drag these over here. Okay. Okay, yeah, we don't want to move that one, but we want to grab this here. Let's see. I guess we can move this. Yeah, we can grab this, move these. Okay, yeah, we can delete the snow mound. We don't need that. But we want to grab this particular one right here, move it right here. And then we want to hit the R button and we want to just kind of make this really big. Okay. So that way Santa can't run away. We're going to do that for this one as well. Well, not that one, but this one. Because this one is kind of grabbing everything. We don't want to adjust this one because it's the whole structure. We just want the ones that are single. So W, move it over here. We can actually just hit R, expand it out, raise it up, raise it out. So that way, now Santa's not going to go past this area right here. So we should be fine. But yeah, we don't want, like I said, we want Santa running over here, or we don't want the player running over here. And that's why we're doing it like this. E, and then just adjust everything like so. See, we can hit R one more time, expand it some more. We can even shrink it that way, expand it some more. Now, he cannot leave this area. And we can get rid of these little rocks here. Well, no, actually, we can leave those there. Those are fine. And then make sure we just do a save. Okay, so I just did a little bit of testing, and there's one more thing I want us to fix before the project's complete. Go to a content drawer, okay? Go to your AI, and then we're gonna open up the elves one more time. So, do the left click control thing, select edit. And what we wanna do is right here, under the event damage, we're gonna change this right here. Instead of it being on the complete, we're gonna put it on this one here because it'll activate at the same time as this. We're going to do a Alt and left click to remove that. And we wanna basically just, I'd like to neaten up the code a little bit. And what we wanna do here is we're gonna hold down the D button, do a left click, and right here under this delay, we're gonna do a 0.4, okay? And we're gonna hook this up in here. And what this will allow it to do is it'll allow the player, this small change here is major. What happens with it is if you don't do this, what we want everything to fire off. If we do it when the montage is finished, it's gonna delay the destroy. But with this setup, it's gonna cause the destroy to happen within less than 0.4 of a second. So that way you'll get instant feedback and you'll see that as we play. So let's go ahead and do that for both of our elves. Add the delay here. Four. Oh no, not 4. 0.4. Remember, it's 0.4. So, and then make sure we take it off of this complete here. So Alt, left click, and that should do it. Compile and save. Okay, so we can just go ahead. We'll close the Elf 2 out, Elf 1 out. So for this first person, the only thing we need to do is go right here. For the radius, we're gonna do 5, and then for the outer radius, we're gonna do 500. And compile and save. And that should do it for that. We don't need the player character open, we can close that. And let's go ahead and test it out. All you gotta do is just hit the play button. Okay, so to start out with, we're gonna grab our gun. And in the upper left corner, there's a 10 that's gonna pop up. I hit the 1 key, and that's gonna give us 10 elves instead of 5. Now if you see here, I've been hit and I got the camera shake. The elves are throwing stuff at us. Now if we look up here, we'll see Santa. He can't do anything. And I gotta be careful, I don't wanna get shot in the back. Go ahead and just kill 10 elves. Really, it's gonna be 11 elves? All right, so I think we're ahead of the game. Let's see, there we go. So now we've killed most of the elves, there's one. See, and then Santa comes to life. And he's throwing elves. Oh, and he hurts. So that we just gotta go ahead and you can spam the key and make sure you kill him, and you saved Christmas. And that should do it. Oh, and also if you do a right click, you'll have the target here. Well, if you enjoyed this game, perhaps you'll also enjoy this game. That's gonna pop up on the screen here. And I want to say happy holidays to you and have a very Merry Christmas and take care. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.